Have you ever felt it? That quiet whisper in the stillness of your mind. A moment of impossible coincidence that feels too perfect to be random. Perhaps you think of an old friend, and moments later, your phone rings with their name on the screen. Or maybe you have a sudden, unshakable feeling about a choice. A gut instinct that guides you away from danger or toward a hidden opportunity. We often dismiss these moments as chance. A simple quirk of a chaotic world. We label them as fantasy, as wishful thinking. And we return to the solid, predictable reality we've been taught to accept. But what if these are not glitches in the system? What if they are echoes of a deeper truth? Clues to a power so profound, so fundamental, that it shapes the very fabric of our existence. Most of us navigate our lives like passengers on a ship we did not build and cannot steer. Believing we are at the mercy of the winds of fortune and the currents of circumstance, we accept that reality is a fixed, external force, and that we are merely its subjects, reacting to the events that life throws at us. This single belief is the hidden root of so much of our anxiety, or stress, and our feeling of being profoundly stuck. It is the narrative of powerlessness, and it is a story that has been told for generations. But what if that story is a lie? What if the mind is not simply a mirror reflecting the world around it, but is, in fact, the architect, the artist, the silent force that draws the blueprint for our reality? This is the core of our journey together, the exploration of a principle known as mind over matter. This is not a fanciful dream, but a learnable, trainable faculty, a forgotten birthright waiting to be reclaimed. Over the course of our time together, we will embark on an expedition into this uncharted territory of the mind. We will turn to the timeless wisdom captured in the world's most transformative audiobooks on self-development, the law of attraction, and the messages whispered by the universe itself. We will distill the teachings of visionaries and mystics and translate their profound insights into practical, usable tools for the modern world. This journey is about shifting from being a passive observer of your life to becoming its conscious creator. It is about understanding that your beliefs are not just thoughts. They are commands. Your feelings are not just reactions. They are the very language that speaks to the quantum field of infinite potential. Welcome to a new understanding of reality. Welcome to the discovery of your own magnificent power. Let us begin by dismantling the most fundamental assumption we hold about our lives, the very ground upon which we stand. We are taught from birth that reality is a solid thing, an objective truth that exists entirely outside of us. We see a wall, and we believe it is impenetrably solid. We experience a setback, and we believe it is an unchangeable fact. We are told that the world is a finished product, a grand stage on which we are merely actors, reading lines from a script we did not write. We believe our minds are like cameras, simply recording the external world. But this belief, this foundational story of separation between self and world, is the greatest illusion of all. The truth is far more profound, far more empowering, and far more mysterious. The universe is not a static sculpture of stone. It is a flowing river of infinite potential, and your consciousness, your focused awareness, is the force that dips its hand into that river and shapes the water into the temporary, beautiful, and ever-changing forms of your life. You are not the actor on the stage. You are the unseen architect, the silent designer of the entire production. For centuries, this idea was the domain of mystics and philosophers, whispered in secret teachings. But in the last century, a strange and wonderful door opened in the most unexpected of places, the world of physics, as scientists peered deeper into the heart of matter, past the molecule, past the atom, into the strange realm of subatomic particles. Reality began to behave in ways that defied all common sense. They discovered that the fundamental building blocks of our world are not tiny, solid balls. Instead, They exist as pure potential, as invisible waves of probability, spread out across space and time. A single particle, like an electron, is not in one place. It is in all possible places at once. Until one thing happens. Until it is measured. Until it is observed. This is the cornerstone of quantum mechanics, known as the observer effect. The very act of looking, of focusing consciousness upon that wave of potential, forces the universe to make a choice. The wave of infinite possibilities collapses into a single, tangible event, a particle in a specific place. Think about the staggering implication of this. At the most fundamental level of reality, the universe waits for a conscious observer to tell it how to behave. It remains a sea of what-ifs until an observer looks at it and turns it into a what-is. Now, let us ask the great question. If a scientist in a lab can collapse a wave of potential with a measuring device, what can you, a being of immense conscious and subconscious power, to do by focusing the lens of your own awareness? What reality are you collapsing into existence every single moment of every single day? With the power of your attention, this is where the power of belief enters the stage. Belief is the filter through which your consciousness observes the world. It is the colored lens that tints everything you see. You are not observing a pure, objective reality. You are observing the reality that your beliefs allow you to see. Imagine the field of infinite potential as a radio broadcast, containing every possible song, every possible station, all at once. Your belief system is the tuner. If your tuner is firmly set to the frequency of life is a struggle, you will only hear the songs of hardship, of injustice, of scarcity. You will walk through a world rich with opportunity, but your receiver will be deaf to it. Your brain, in its effort to be efficient, will actively seek out evidence to confirm your existing beliefs, and it will filter out, dismiss, and ignore anything that contradicts them. This is not a personality flaw. It is a function of our neurology. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy machine. If you deeply believe you are unlucky, you will interpret a flat tire as proof of your bad luck, rather than as a simple, random event. You will fail to notice the kind stranger who stops to help, or the fact that the delay caused you to miss a traffic jam up ahead. Your belief becomes your experience. Let's make this tangible. Imagine it: two people, both working at the same company, both with similar skills, who are passed over for the same promotion. The external event is identical, but their internal blueprints, their core beliefs, are worlds apart. The first person, let's call her Sarah, holds a core belief that she is unworthy, that she is never good enough. For her, this event is devastating confirmation. Her mind says, "See, I told you so." She filters the experience through the lens of personal failure. She becomes demotivated. Her work begins to slip. She resents her boss and her colleague who got the job. She is so blinded by the perceived injustice that she fails to see the truth that the promotion required a specific skill she could have easily learned. Her reality, shaped by her belief in her own inadequacy, spirals downward. Now consider the second person, David. His core belief is that everything is a learning opportunity, that life is happening for him, not to him. When he hears the news, he is disappointed. But his filter is different. He sees it not as a verdict on his worth, but as feedback. He proactively seeks a meeting with his boss to understand what he can do to improve. He might discover the skill he was lacking and enroll in a course, making him a prime candidate for the next opportunity. Or he might realize that his own goals no longer align with the company's direction, and this rejection is actually the universe pushing him toward a new, more fulfilling path he wouldn't have otherwise considered. The event was identical. The raw data was the same. But the blueprint of belief within each person constructed two completely different realities from it. One of stagnation and resentment, the other of growth and new possibilities. If you need one final, irrefutable piece of evidence that your mind is the architect of your physical reality, look no further than the stunning, scientifically documented miracle of the placebo effect. This is not a fringe theory. It is a cornerstone of modern medical research. In study after study, patients are given a simple sugar pill, a saline injection, or even subjected to fake surgeries, and are told they are receiving a powerful new treatment. The results are astounding. People's pain vanishes. Their body's inflammation reduces. Asthma symptoms ease. Parkinson's tremor lessen. In some documented cases, even tumors have shrunk. These are not just subjective feelings of feeling better. These are real, measurable, biological changes. Their bodies begin to produce their own natural painkillers, their own anti-inflammatory agents, their own healing chemicals. The question is, what was the active ingredient? It was not the sugar in the pill. It was the belief in the pill. The belief itself became the potent medicine. The mind, convinced of a cure, instructed the body's innate pharmacy to produce the exact chemical compounds needed for healing. The mind became the doctor, the pharmacist, and the cure, all at once. The placebo effect is the universe holding up a giant sign, screaming at us that the blueprint held in the mind has direct, verifiable, and powerful command over the matter of the body. So we see that reality is not fixed, but fluid. It is a field of potential, waiting for an observer. Our consciousness is that observer, and our belief is the lens through which we look, determining what part of that infinite field we collapse into our experience. This isn't just a beautiful philosophy. It is a functional mechanic of the cosmos, proven in the strangeness of quantum physics and the undeniable reality of the placebo effect. The power to change your world does not reside in changing the world itself. It resides in changing the architect, the unseen designer within. So if belief is the blueprint, the master design for our health, our finances, our relationships, and our joy, then a critical question arises. Where is this blueprint stored? What is the vast, powerful, and silent machinery that takes this design and works tirelessly, day and night, to build our reality according to its specifications? To answer that, we must venture deeper into the realm of the subconscious mind. If your belief is the blueprint of reality, then your subconscious mind is the master builder. It is the vast, silent, and astonishingly powerful workforce that takes that blueprint and constructs your life, brick by brick, moment by moment. To understand the sheer scale of its power, we can imagine our mind as a great ship sailing the ocean of life. Your conscious mind, the part you identify with, the voice in your head that is listening to these words right now, is the captain standing on the bridge. The captain has the charts, makes the decisions, and sets the destination. The captain can say, our goal is the island of abundance, or we are charting a course to the port of perfect health. This is the mind of logic, of analysis, of willpower. It represents, at best, about 5% of your total mental power. But the captain does not sail the ship alone. Below the deck lies the other 95%, the subconscious mind. This is the enormous engine room, the intricate machinery, and the entire seasoned crew. This crew does not see the charts. They do not question the destination, and they do not use logic. They are a crew of habit. They run on past training, on ingrained procedures, and on automatic reflexes. They are responsible for keeping the ship running, managing countless complex systems simultaneously, without the captain ever needing to think about them. From balancing the cargo to maintaining the engine's rhythm, your heartbeat, your breathing, the healing of a wound, the intricate dance of hormones and cells. These are all managed by this silent, faithful crew. The conscious mind thinks, but the subconscious mind does. When you first learned to drive a car, your conscious mind was in full control. You had to think about every single action, check the mirror, press the pedal, turn the wheel. It was exhausting. But soon, the subconscious mind observed, learned, and took over. Now, you can drive across town while thinking about your grocery list or listening to an audiobook because the crew below deck is handling the driving. The subconscious is the domain of all your habits, your automatic reactions, your emotional triggers, and most importantly, your deepest, most ingrained beliefs about yourself and the world. It is a servant of immense power and fidelity. But it has one critical characteristic. We must understand it is completely non-judgmental, and it takes everything literally. It is like a fertile garden. It does not care if you plant seeds of corn or seeds of nightshade. It will work with equal diligence to grow whatever seed it is given. Your habitual thoughts, feelings, and the beliefs you accepted long ago are the seeds you have been planting. So, where did this powerful crew get its training manual? How were its automatic procedures written? The vast majority of our core subconscious programming was installed during the first 7 years of our lives. From birth to age 7, a child's brain operates predominantly in a theta brainwave state. This is a state of deep receptivity, of hypnosis. During this period, the conscious, critical mind has not yet fully formed its protective barrier. A child is a walking, talking, recording device, downloading information about how the world works directly into their subconscious hard drive. They learn by observing their parents, their teachers, their society. Every word they hear, every emotion they feel, every experience they have is being written into their core programming. If a child repeatedly hears their parents arguing about the lack of money, the subconscious program being installed is not just money is scarce, but also money is a source of conflict and stress. If a child is consistently told to be quiet and not make a fuss, the program becomes my needs are unimportant or expressing myself is unsafe. If a child experiences a painful rejection on the playground, the program I am not lovable can be installed in an instant. We are walking around as adults, trying to consciously steer our ship towards success and happiness, while the crew below deck is still operating from a training manual written by a 5-year-old, based on their limited and often flawed interpretation of the world. This is the source of our greatest internal conflicts and the hidden engine of self-sabotage. This is why our willpower so often fails. Let's go back to our ship. The conscious captain, after listening to an inspiring audiobook, stands on the bridge and makes a bold new declaration. Crew, set a course for the island of entrepreneurial success, full speed ahead. But the crew, the subconscious, checks its decades-old training manual. The manual says, risk is dangerous. Remember when you failed at that school project and everyone laughed? Stay in the safe harbor of a steady paycheck. The manual says, who do you think you are? People from our family don't become massively successful. So, while the captain is shouting full speed ahead, the crew below is quietly dropping the anchor, reducing engine power, and subtly steering the ship in circles, all in an attempt to follow its primary directive: keep the ship safe, according to its old definitions of safety. This is the man who consciously wants to start a business, but finds himself endlessly procrastinating. This is the woman who consciously wants a loving partner, but finds herself repeatedly attracted to emotionally unavailable people who confirm her subconscious belief that she is unworthy of love. It is not a failure of character. It is not a lack of desire. It is a conflict in programming. Your conscious goal is at war with your subconscious blueprint. And the subconscious, controlling 95% of your resources, will win almost every time. Therefore, the most profound realization on this journey is this: to change your outer world, you cannot simply shout new orders from the captain's bridge. You cannot use willpower to fight against a 95% majority. That is a path to exhaustion and frustration. You must go below deck. You must befriend the crew. You must rewrite the training manual. You must change the program at its source. Any attempt to change your life without engaging the subconscious is like trying to fix a typo on a printed document by scratching at the paper with your fingernail. It's messy, ineffective, and misses the point entirely. The typo doesn't exist on the paper. It exists in the original file on the computer. Your external reality is the printout. Your subconscious mind is the document file. The real work, the lasting change, happens when you edit the source code. The great pioneer in this field, Dr. Joseph Murphy, wrote in his seminal work, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that whatever the conscious mind assumes and believes to be true, the subconscious mind will accept and bring to pass. He emphasized that you must choose your thoughts, your ideas, and your premises with the utmost care, because your subconscious mind will faithfully reproduce the blueprint you give it. It is a tireless servant, waiting for new, clear instructions. This understanding liberates us from the prison of the past. Your programming is not a life sentence. You are not doomed to repeat the patterns of your childhood forever. You are simply an adult running on outdated software. The challenge and the opportunity is to become a conscious programmer of your own mind. You have the power to uninstall the limiting beliefs that no longer serve you and install new, empowering programs that align with the life you consciously choose to live. But this raises the most important question we will face. If this powerful, literal-minded gatekeeper cannot be reasoned with by logic, if it cannot be forced into submission by willpower, how then do we communicate with it? How do we provide it with a new set of blueprints in a way it will understand and accept? To do this, we must learn its native tongue. It is a language that predates words and logic. It is the primal language of feeling, of symbols, of imagination. It is the language of the universe itself. It is the language of visualization and emotion. We have established that a silent, powerful gatekeeper, the subconscious mind, stands at the helm of our reality. Operating from a blueprint of belief, we know that we cannot persuade this gatekeeper with logic, nor can we force it with willpower. To communicate with it, to hand it a new blueprint for a life of our own choosing, we must become fluent in its native tongue. This is a language that existed long before human speech. A primal language understood by every cell in your body and by the very fabric of the cosmos itself. It is the language of direct experience. Its two essential components, the grammar that shapes worlds, are visualization and emotion. These are not simply positive thinking techniques. They are the fundamental mechanics of creation. Visualization is the act of drawing the blueprint, and emotion is the energy that powers the construction. Master these, and you master the art of deliberate creation. Let's first explore the power of visualization. This is not mere daydreaming. It is a focused, disciplined process of mental rehearsal. The reason this works is due to a fascinating feature of our own neurology. The brain does not clearly distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When an Olympic skier closes her eyes at the top of a mountain and mentally rehearses her entire run, seeing every gate, feeling every turn, hearing the sound of the wind, her brain fires in almost the exact same sequence of neural pathways as when she is physically skiing down the slope. She is not just wishing. She is building and strengthening the neural architecture for success. She is paving the highways in her mind that her body will later follow. When a surgeon mentally walks through a complex procedure before ever making an incision, he is creating a state of familiarity and expertise in his mind and body. This is the power you have at your disposal. However, for visualization to be truly effective, it cannot be a vague, third-person movie that you watch in your head. You must make it a first-person, multi-sensory, immersive experience. You must step inside the image. You must embody the future you. If you desire a new home, I do not just see a picture of it. Mentally stand inside it right now. Look through your own eyes. What do you see? Notice the way the sunlight streams through the window and illuminates dust motes dancing in the air. Run your hand along the cool, smooth surface of the kitchen countertop. What does it feel like? Open the back door and step outside. What do you hear? The sound of birds, the gentle hum of the neighborhood, the laughter of a loved one. What do you smell? The scent of freshly cut grass, the aroma of coffee brewing on your new stove. The more sensory detail you can pack into your mental creation, the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious is the servant that does not question orders. It only looks for the most detailed instructions. When you provide it with a rich, sensory-filled scene, it accepts it as a real memory. A memory of an event that has already happened. It then goes to work, subtly influencing your perceptions, your choices, your inspirations, and your energy to align your physical reality with this new splash. Dominant memory. But a detailed blueprint, no matter how beautiful, is just a piece of paper. It has no power on its own. It needs a construction crew. It needs electricity. It needs energy to bring it to life. This is the role of emotion. If visualization is the blueprint, emotion is the fuel. It is the electric charge that takes a static thought and turns it into a powerful, vibrating signal that broadcasts out into the quantum field of the universe. You are, at your core, an energetic being, constantly emitting a vibrational frequency. That frequency is determined, moment by moment, by your dominant emotional state. The law of attraction, in its essence, is simply the law of vibrational resonance. The universe is not a cosmic waiter responding to your verbal menu orders. It is a field of energy that responds to your frequency. It doesn't give you what you think about. It gives you what you feel about. When you feel joy, gratitude, love, and enthusiasm, you are vibrating at a high frequency. You become a magnet for experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that high frequency. When you feel doubt, fear, jealousy, or despair, you are vibrating at a low frequency, and you will inevitably attract circumstances that match that state. This is the secret that many people miss. They spend hours visualizing a goal, but they do it from a place of desperation and lack. They are trying to create wealth while feeling a profound sense of poverty. They are trying to attract love while feeling deeply lonely and unworthy. This creates a contradictory signal. It's like sending a beautiful picture of a feast to the universe, but the letter it's attached to is soaked in the tears of starvation. The universe responds to the stronger energy. The dominant feeling, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is the key. You must generate the emotion in advance. You must dare to feel the joy of your success before the evidence of success has appeared. You must feel the warmth and security of love before the partner has arrived. This is the work. It is the art of assuming the feeling of your deepest desire. This requires a critical shift in your internal state, a move away from the energy of wanting and into the energy of having. When you are in a state of wanting, your entire being is focused on an absence. I want more money is a vibrational statement that screams, I do not have enough money. I want a relationship is a vibrational statement that says I am lonely. The universe, being an impartial mirror to your energy, simply reflects more of that lack back to you. The most powerful antidote to the energy of wanting is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is the frequency of receiving. It is the emotional signature of fulfillment. When you can be genuinely grateful for the goal you are creating as if it is already yours, you shift your entire energetic being from lack to abundance. You are no longer asking for it. You are acknowledging it. You are aligning yourself with the reality where it is already a fact. You are tuning your radio dial to the station where your desire is already playing. This is not about lying to yourself. It is about understanding that in the quantum field, That reality already exists as a potential. Your job is to match its frequency with the feeling of gratitude, to call it forth into your experience. There is no better real-world example of this principle than the now famous story of actor Jim Carrey. In the early 1990s, he was a talented but struggling comedian. He decided to put this principle to the ultimate test. He took out a check, made it payable to himself, and in the memo line he wrote, "For acting services rendered," the amount was $10 million. He then post-dated it for Thanksgiving. 1995. He put that check in his wallet and carried it with him everywhere. He didn't just look at it. He would pull it out and feel what it would be like to have that kind of success. He generated the emotion of being a sought-after, highly paid actor, long before the world saw him as one. He combined a clear visualization, the tangible check, with the sustained, powerful emotion of its fulfillment. The rest is history. Just before Thanksgiving of 1995, he learned he would be paid exactly $10 million for his role in the movie Dumb and Dumber. He had poured the molten gold of his emotion into the blueprint of his visualization, and the universe had no choice but to let it harden into physical fact. This, then, is the language you must learn to speak. The language of creating memories of your future. You do it by immersing yourself in the full sensory experience of your desire. Seeing it, hearing it, feeling it through your own eyes. And you supercharge that mental image with the most powerful fuel in the universe, the genuine, heartfelt emotion of gratitude. The feeling that it is already done. These are the twin engines of creation. But for these engines to guide your ship effectively, they must be run consistently. They must become a daily practice, powerful enough to overwrite the decades of old limiting programming. This requires reinforcing these new states of being. And that brings us to the subtle but persistent power of the very words we speak to ourselves. And the foundational statement of all creation, the two most powerful words in the human language. I am. If visualization is the silent movie of your future, and emotion is the orchestral score that gives it life, then the words you speak are the powerful, incantatory narration that directs the entire story. Humanity has always held an innate, almost mystical reverence for the power of the spoken word. In ancient traditions, sacred mantras were chanted not just for their meaning, but for their specific vibrational frequency, believed to alter consciousness and reality itself. In spiritual texts, creation begins with a divine utterance, a word spoken into the void. This ancient wisdom is not mere superstition. It is an intuitive understanding of a profound cosmic law. Words are not just sounds. They are energetic commands. The words you consistently speak, both aloud to others and silently to yourself, are shaping the very cells in your body and broadcasting a clear signal to the universe. To say I am so tired and stressed is to cast a spell of fatigue. To say I am strong and full of energy is to issue a command for vitality. These are not neutral descriptors. They are creative instructions. And there are no instructions more potent, no command more absolute, than the two words that define existence itself. I am. These two words are the most powerful creative statement in the universe. Notice their structure. They are not a request. They are not a hope. They are not a future potential. They are a declaration of present tense reality. When you say, I want to be confident, you are, in that same breath, affirming to the universe that you currently are not confident. You are reinforcing the state of lack. But when you declare, I am confident, you are claiming that identity right here, right now. You are bypassing the question of if or when and stepping directly into the state of being. Your subconscious mind, our faithful and literal servant, hears this command. It does not argue. It does not check your bank account to verify your claim of I am prosperous. It does not consult your medical chart to debate your declaration of I am healthy. It accepts the command as a directive. When you repeat this declaration with feeling and consistency, the subconscious mind accepts it as the new truth, the new core programming. It then begins its tireless work to make your outer world conform to this inner identity. It will subtly alter your posture, change the way you speak, shift what you notice in your environment, and inspire actions that a confident, prosperous, or healthy person would naturally take. The great 20th century mystic Neville Goddard built his entire philosophy on this singular principle. He taught that the key to a fulfilled life was to stop praying to an external, separate God, and to instead realize that the power of creation was within us, activated by our own consciousness. His method was called assuming the wish fulfilled. You were not to ask for your desire. You were to assume the feeling, the identity of the person who already had it. And the primary tool for this assumption was the I am statement. He would instruct his students to define their desire and then to construct a short phrase, implying it was already a fact. A woman who desired to be married would not affirm "I want a husband," but would instead repeat to herself with feeling, "I am happily married." A man seeking employment would declare, "I am gainfully employed." He instructed them to let this new identity, this I am statement, that be the last thing they thought of before sleep, letting it sink into the receptive depths of the subconscious mind. The stories of his students achieving seemingly miraculous results, finding partners, healing illnesses, and manifesting great sums of money all hinged on this shift from asking to declaring, from wanting to being. To harness this power for yourself, you must learn to craft affirmations that work. Many people have tried affirmations and given up, claiming they don't work. This is usually because their affirmations were poorly constructed. Like trying to use the wrong key for a lock. There are rules of engagement for speaking to your subconscious mind. First, your affirmations must always be in the present tense. "I will be successful" is a promise for a future that never arrives. "I am successful" is a command for the now. Second, they must always be positive. The subconscious mind struggles to process negatives. If you affirm, "I am not afraid of public speaking," the dominant words it hears are "afraid" and "public speaking," reinforcing the very connection you want to break. A far more powerful statement is, "I am a confident and compelling public speaker." You must state what you want to be, not what you want to avoid. Third, and this is the vital link to our previous discussion, your affirmations must be charged with emotion. Repeating "I am wealthy" 100 times with a mechanical, bored tone is like trying to start a car with a dead battery. The words are the vehicle, but emotion is the ignition. When you say the words, you must take a moment to feel the truth of them. What does wealth feel like in your body? Security, freedom, joy. Generate that feeling, however small, and let it infuse your words with creative power. Once you have mastered the art of the affirmation, you can move on to a more advanced and deeply immersive technique called scripting. This is the practice of writing the story of your life, as if your greatest desires have already come to pass. You take a journal, and you write a diary entry from your future self. You don't write about what you hope will happen, you write about what did happen. For example, you might write the 15th of October, 2026. What an incredible day. I woke up this morning to the news that the charity foundation I started last year just reached its funding goal. Seeing that number on the screen, knowing how many lives will be touched, was a feeling I can barely describe. I spent the afternoon walking on the beach behind my home, feeling the cool water on my feet, just filled with a profound sense of gratitude and peace. The life I once only dreamed of is now my beautiful reality. Do you see the power in this? Scripting forces you to operate from the state of the wish fulfilled. It automatically puts your declaration in the past tense, signifying it is done. It compels you to fill in the sensory details, which is a powerful form of visualization. And most importantly, the act of writing out your success story helps you to genuinely generate the corresponding emotions of joy, relief, gratitude, and accomplishment. You are, quite literally, writing a new script and handing it to the director of your life's movie, your subconscious mind. It is one of the most potent ways to overwrite old narratives of lack and failure with a new, detailed, and emotionally resonant story of success. Of course, when you first begin this work, your conscious, critical mind will likely rebel. As you declare, "I am prosperous," it may scream back, "No, you're not. Look at your bank account. This is normal." This is the old programming fighting for its survival. Do not engage it in a debate. Simply acknowledge the thought, and gently, firmly, return to your chosen truth. Think of it as training a puppy. You don't reason with the puppy when it misbehaves. You just consistently and patiently guide it back to the desired behavior. Your affirmations are that gentle guidance for your mind. Through repetition, persistence, and the infusion of positive emotion, the new belief will begin to feel more real, more natural than the old one. The resistance will quiet down, and the new script will become your default reality. So, we now possess a formidable set of creative tools. We have the mental movies of visualization, providing the detailed blueprint. We have the energetic fuel of emotion, providing the power. And we have the verbal commands of affirmations and scripting, providing the constant, reinforcing instructions to our subconscious builder. On the surface, this appears to be a perfect, unstoppable system for manifesting the life of our dreams. So why then does it sometimes fail? Why do we apply these principles with dedication, only to see our efforts thwarted, our progress stalled, and the old, unwanted reality persist with such stubborn resolve? It is because even with the most advanced tools and the clearest intentions, we may be trying to build our magnificent new castle upon a flawed and treacherous foundation. A foundation riddled with the invisible, yet powerful, obstacles of our own limiting beliefs. We have assembled a remarkable toolkit for creation. We have the clear blueprint of visualization, the catalytic fuel of emotion, and the steady, guiding hand of affirmations and scripting. In theory, with these instruments, we should be unstoppable, architects of our destiny. Yet, so often, we find ourselves in a state of frustrating contradiction. We spend our mornings affirming our worthiness and our afternoons feeling the familiar sting of inadequacy. We visualize abundance and then find ourselves paralyzed by financial anxiety. Why does this happen? It is because we are attempting to build a beautiful new structure on top of a foundation that is already occupied deep in the soil of our subconscious mind. There are old, gnarled roots, the weeds of our limiting beliefs, that silently and relentlessly sabotage our conscious efforts. They are the invisible saboteurs in the engine room, the unseen architects of our self-destruction. And until we learn to identify them, uproot them, and remove them from our garden, any new seeds we plant will be choked before they have a chance to grow. To understand the profound and often tragic power of a limiting belief, consider the famous parable of the circus elephant. When the elephant is just a baby, small and weak, its trainers tie it to a thick, unmovable stake with a heavy rope. The young elephant, full of spirit, pulls and struggles for days, but it is no match for the restraint. It fights until its skin is raw and its spirit is tired. And in the process, it learns a powerful and absolute lesson that becomes seared into its subconscious mind. When I feel this rope around my leg, I cannot move. Struggle is pointless. Resistance is futile. Years pass. The elephant grows into a magnificent, powerful creature, weighing several tons. It now possesses more than enough strength to uproot the entire stake with a single, casual tug. But it never tries. The trainers can now tie it with a thin, flimsy piece of cord to a simple wooden peg, and the elephant will stand perfectly still. The restraint is no longer the rope. The restraint is the belief that was installed in its youth. The memory of its past powerlessness has become its present reality. We are all in some crucial area of our lives. That magnificent elephant, we are held captive not by our current circumstances, which are often as flimsy as that thin piece of cord, but by the invisible, yet immensely powerful ropes of beliefs we adopted when we were young and felt powerless. A limiting belief is simply an opinion about yourself or the world that you accepted as truth, usually long ago, and have since forgotten is even a choice. These beliefs were not your fault. You absorbed them from your environment when you were too young to have a critical filter. Perhaps you grew up hearing your parents say, "Money is the root of all evil." And so now, even as you strive for financial success, a part of you subconsciously pushes it away, believing it will make you a bad person. Perhaps a teacher once carelessly called you lazy, and that single word became a subconscious identity that fuels your procrastination. Perhaps you went through a painful business failure years ago, and the belief "I am not meant to be an entrepreneur" was burned into your psyche. These beliefs, sourced from childhood, society, or past traumas, become the silent, unquestioned assumptions that run our lives on autopilot. The first step to freedom is to identify these invisible ropes. They are masters of disguise, masquerading as objective facts and rational thoughts. The most direct way to find them is to examine the areas of your life where you feel the most stuck. Your external reality is a perfect mirror of your internal beliefs. If you consistently struggle with money, you are guaranteed to have limiting beliefs about wealth, scarcity, or your own worthiness to receive it. If you struggle in relationships, you are holding limiting beliefs about love, intimacy, or your own lovability. The area of your greatest struggle is pointing you directly to your most powerful limiting belief. Listen to your own language, especially the excuses you make. Anytime you say the words "I can't," I pay close attention to what follows. I can't start my business because I don't have enough capital. The stated reason is the lack of capital, but the underlying belief might be, I am not resourceful enough to create something from nothing, or I need permission and external validation to begin. These "because" clauses are the voices of your limiting beliefs. Once you have identified a belief, for instance, I am not good enough to achieve my dreams, the next step is to put it on trial. You must become a ruthless cross-examiner of your own thoughts. For decades, this belief has ruled from the shadows, its authority unquestioned. Now, you must drag it into the light, ask it direct questions, and demand honest answers. Is it absolutely 100% true that you are not good enough? Can you find a single piece of evidence from your entire life experience, a moment where you were good enough, where you succeeded at something? However small, the existence of even one counterexample proves that the belief is not an absolute truth, but merely a generalized opinion. What happens to you when you believe this thought? How does it make you feel in your body? What actions do you avoid? What opportunities do you miss? Now, imagine for a moment. Who would you be if you were physically incapable of thinking this thought? What would you try? What would you risk? This process of questioning, inspired by teachings like Byron Katie's The Work, doesn't use willpower to fight the belief. It uses awareness to dissolve it. It helps your subconscious mind realize that this unmovable stake is actually just a flimsy wooden peg. When you have created cracks in the foundation of the old belief, it is time to build a new one. You cannot simply leave a void. You must consciously install an empowering belief in its place. This new belief is the turnaround, the positive opposite of the old one. If the old belief was, I am not worthy of love, and the new one could be, I am inherently worthy of deep and fulfilling love. The key is to then anchor this new belief using the very tools we have already discussed. As Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, you must break the habit of being yourself. You do this by mentally rehearsing your new state of being. You close your eyes and visualize what your life looks like as a person who is worthy of love. You use I am statements to claim this new identity. You script journal entries from the perspective of this new self. You are literally firing and wiring new neural pathways in your brain, conditioning your mind and body to a new emotional state. You are consciously planting the stake of your new, empowering belief in a new location. And with every repetition, you drive it deeper into the fertile ground of your mind, until it becomes the new, unshakable truth. This process of uprooting our limiting beliefs is the most profound and essential work we can do on our journey of personal transformation. It is the act of becoming the powerful, adult elephant who finally realizes its own strength and snaps the flimsy cord of its past conditioning. It is the moment you stop letting a 5-year-old's interpretation of the world dictate your adult reality. It is the declaration of your freedom. This is a battle fought and won in the private, sacred landscape of your own mind. But our minds do not exist in a vacuum. Once we have meticulously weeded our internal garden and planted new seeds of possibility, we must become vigilant gatekeepers. For just outside the walls of our mind, the world is constantly blowing its own seeds, the winds of public opinion, the negativity of the daily news, the subtle and not so subtle energies of the people around us. If we are not careful, these external influences can land in our fertile soil and grow into new weeds of doubt and fear. This brings us to the crucial art of energetic self-defense, the essential practice of protecting your own sacred, creative vibration. Having journeyed into the deep, internal world of your own beliefs, it is now time to turn our attention outward. For even as you work diligently to clear the inner garden of your mind, you do not exist in a sealed-off biosphere. You are a being in the world. And the world is a swirling ocean of energies, thoughts, and emotions. The most fundamental shift in understanding you can make as a conscious creator is to stop thinking of yourself as a solid, physical body that ends at the boundary of your skin. You are far more than that. You are a radiating field of energy, like the heat shimmering from a fire or the signal broadcasting from a powerful radio tower. You are constantly emitting a frequency into the space around you. This frequency, this personal energy field, is what mystics and spiritual teachers refer to as your vibration. It is the signature tune of your soul, a composite melody of your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and, most importantly, your emotions. Protecting the clarity and purity of this signal is one of the most vital and most overlooked aspects of creating the life you desire. To understand why this protection is so critical, let us use a simple, organic metaphor. Imagine you have a basket filled with fresh, crisp, perfect apples. They are vibrant, healthy, and full of life. Now, imagine placing just one single apple into that basket that has a small, soft, brown spot of rot. At first, it seems insignificant. But what happens over time? That one spot of decay releases invisible spores and gases. It begins to affect the apple next to it, which then begins to affect the one next to it. Before long, that one small spot of negativity has compromised the entire basket, turning your vibrant collection of healthy fruit into a spoiled, mushy mess. Negativity, in all its forms, is the energetic equivalent of that rot. It is contagious, invasive, and if left unchecked, it will inevitably degrade the quality of your own personal energy field. This is not just a poetic metaphor. It is a scientifically observable phenomenon known as emotional contagion. Our brains are wired with something called mirror neurons. These specialized brain cells fire not only when we perform an action, but also when we observe someone else performing that action. This system is what allows us to feel empathy. It's why we cringe when we see someone get hurt, or why we can feel a surge of joy when we watch an athlete celebrate a victory. We are unconsciously mirroring the emotional states of those around us. This is a beautiful mechanism for human connection, but it is also a backdoor for energetic contamination. When you spend time with someone who is chronically anxious, your mirror neurons begin to fire in a pattern of anxiety. and you may leave the interaction, feeling tense and unsettled without knowing why. When you immerse yourself in a constant stream of fear-based news, you are allowing your neural circuitry to be marinated in the frequency of fear. You are, in effect, willingly placing a rotten apple into the basket of your own consciousness. To protect your vibration, you must first become adept at identifying the sources of this energetic rot. These sources, often called energy vampires, can be people, places, or information. The human energy vampire often comes in several archetypes. There is the chronic complainer, the person who lives in a state of perpetual victimhood, finding fault in everything and everyone, endlessly draining your energy as you try to offer solutions they will never accept. There is the drama magnet, whose life is a never-ending soap opera of chaos and crisis, pulling you into their vortex of emotional turmoil. There is the critic, who feels powerful only by pointing out the flaws in others, cloaking their own insecurity in a shroud of judgment. Then there are the toxic environments, a workplace steeped in gossip and cutthroat competition, a social group that thrives on cynicism. And of course, there is the information we consume, the 24-hour news cycle, an engine engineered to run on fear and outrage, and the curated perfection of social media, designed to breed comparison, envy, and the pervasive feeling of not being good enough. Each of these is a rotten apple, offering nothing of nutritional value and actively threatening the health of your own energy field. So how do you build an energetic immune system? The first and most powerful line of defense is the conscious act of setting boundaries. You must understand this truth: you are not a public disposal site for other people's emotional waste. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is essential. This may mean lovingly limiting your time with certain friends or family members. It may mean learning to say no without guilt. You can learn to change the subject when a conversation turns to gossip or complaining. You can say, with kindness, "I really care about you, but I find that talking about this subject leaves me feeling drained. Can we talk about something else?" You have the right to curate your social circle and to choose who gets access to your precious energy. For those situations you cannot avoid, like a challenging coworker or a difficult family gathering, you can employ the powerful technique of an energetic shield. This is a form of focused visualization. Before you enter the challenging environment, take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes and imagine a beautiful, shimmering bubble of brilliant white or golden light forming around you, completely encompassing your body and extending a few feet out in every direction. Set a clear intention that this shield is a semi-permeable membrane. It allows your own love and positivity to radiate outwards, and it allows all genuine love and positivity to enter. However, it is completely impermeable to all lower frequencies. See any negativity, criticism, or judgment coming towards you, hitting the surface of your shield, and harmlessly dissolving or sliding away. This is not just a mental trick. It is a powerful psychological act of claiming your energetic sovereignty. You are telling your subconscious mind, "I am safe, I am protected, and I am in control of my own state of being." Finally, you must go on an information diet. Be as conscious about what you feed your mind as you are about what you feed your body. Unfollow social media accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. Replace them with accounts that inspire, educate, and uplift you. Ditch the habit of mindlessly scrolling through fear-based headlines. If you need to stay informed, choose 1 or 2 reputable sources and check them at a designated time once a day, rather than letting a constant stream of negativity seep into your consciousness. Choose to listen to audiobooks that expand your mind, music that lifts your spirit, and podcasts that make you feel empowered. Every choice you make about the information you consume is a choice to either place a fresh apple or a rotten apple into the basket of your mind. This practice of protecting your energy is the essential, defensive posture of a conscious creator. It is about building a fortress to keep out the chaotic energies of the world, allowing your inner garden to grow undisturbed. But a fortress, no matter how strong, is still just a fortress. To truly flourish, we must not only defend our peace, but we must proactively cultivate it from within. We must learn to generate a vibration so powerful, so pure, and so radiant that it becomes its own shield and a beacon for all good things. And the most powerful, readily available tool for generating this beautiful frequency is found in the simple, profound act of gratitude. After building our energetic fortress to protect ourselves from the negativity of the outside world, we must now turn to the most powerful tool for cultivating a vibrant, beautiful garden within those walls. If there were a single master key that could unlock every door to abundance, health, and joy, it would not be forged in the fire of intense effort or relentless striving. It would be a simple, quiet key, one that most of us hold in our hands every day but forget to use. This key is gratitude. We often dismiss gratitude as a simple platitude, a polite thank you muttered out of social obligation. But this is a profound misunderstanding of one of the most potent and dynamic forces in the universe. Gratitude is not a passive courtesy. It is an active, creative frequency. It is the universal currency, the language that the generous heart of the cosmos understands above all others. It is the ultimate paradox of creation. The fastest way to manifest the future you desire is to fall deeply and passionately in love with the present you already have. To grasp its power, we must revisit the fundamental physics of creation we have been discussing. The universe does not respond to your wishes, your hopes, or your wants. It responds, with flawless precision, to the vibrational frequency you are emitting in this very moment. When you exist in a state of wanting, your entire being is oriented around a gap, a lack, an absence. Your focus is on the empty space in your bank account, the empty chair at your dinner table, the empty feeling in your heart. You are vibrating at the frequency of not enough. And so the universe, as a faithful mirror, reflects back to you more experiences of not enough. Gratitude is the sacred act that instantly flips this entire equation. The moment you shift your focus from what is missing to what is present, your entire energetic signal changes. The moment you feel a surge of genuine thankfulness for the roof over your head, for the breath in your lungs, for the kindness of a stranger, you cease to be a transmitter of lack and you become a powerful beacon of abundance. You are telling the universe, in its own language, I am provided for, I am blessed. And the universe, hearing this beautiful signal of fullness, has no choice but to send you more experiences that match it. This is the deeper meaning behind the spiritual axiom. The universe does not give you what you want. It gives you who you are. Gratitude is the shortcut to being the person who already has your desires. When you are truly grateful for the health you do have, even if it's not perfect, you begin to embody the vibrational state of a healthy person, which in turn attracts more wellness. When you are grateful for the money you do have, even if it's just a few dollars, you embody the frequency of a prosperous person, which opens the channels for more to flow in. You are aligning yourself with the solution instead of the problem. Furthermore, gratitude is the ultimate emotional amplifier. It is impossible to feel genuine gratitude and, in the same moment, feel fear, anger, or despair. It acts as a powerful pattern interrupt for all negative emotions. It elevates you instantly to a higher state of consciousness, a state from which you can see possibilities and solutions that were invisible from the lower frequency of worry or lack. It is the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, when you can say thank you for your success, your partner, or your healing before it has fully manifested in the physical realm. You are sending the clearest possible signal to the universe that the order has been received. And you are waiting in joyful expectation. You cease to be a desperate beggar and become a gracious receiver. Lest you think this is purely a spiritual concept, Modern science has now caught up to this ancient wisdom, providing stunning biological proof of gratitude's power. When you practice gratitude, your brain chemistry literally changes. Neurological studies using fMRI scans show that feelings of gratitude activate multiple parts of the brain, including the medial prefrontal cortex, which is linked to learning, decision-making, and taking positive action. On a chemical level, the effects are even more striking. The consistent practice of gratitude has been shown to reduce levels of cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, by as much as 23%. Imagine a simple daily practice that actively shields your body from the damaging effects of stress. At the same time, gratitude boosts the brain's production of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, and serotonin, the chemical that regulates mood. In essence, practicing gratitude is like becoming your own personal pharmacist, consciously giving yourself a daily prescription for a natural antidepressant, a stress reliever, and a happiness booster. So how do we weave this magical practice into the fabric of our daily lives? The most famous and effective method is the gratitude journal. This is a simple but profound ritual. Each morning upon waking, or each evening before sleep, take a dedicated notebook and write down 3 to 5 specific things for which you are genuinely grateful. The key here is specificity. Do not just write, "I'm grateful for my job." Write, "I am so grateful for the way my colleague helped me with that difficult project today, making me feel supported and part of a team." Don't just write, "I'm grateful for my home." Write, "I am deeply grateful for the feeling of safety and comfort I get when I sit in my favorite chair with a warm cup of tea." Specificity evokes genuine emotion, and it is the emotion that carries the creative power. Another powerful technique is to become a gratitude hunter throughout your day. Make it a game to actively look for things to appreciate. You can do what some call a rampage of appreciation, where for 60 seconds, and you look around your immediate environment and list everything you see that you're grateful for: the chair that is supporting you, the light that allows you to see, the technology that connects you to the world, of the clean water you can drink. This practice retrains your brain's reticular activating system, the filter that determines what you notice, to actively seek out the positive instead of habitually scanning for threats and problems. In her transformative book, The Magic, author Rhonda Byrne suggests carrying a gratitude rock. You find a small, smooth stone, something that feels good in your hand, and you place it in your pocket. Throughout the day, every time your fingers touch that stone, you use it as a tactile reminder to pause and think of one thing you are grateful for in that moment. It's a simple, powerful anchor that helps to build the habit of continuous appreciation. These practices, whether written, spoken, or anchored to a physical object, are about more than just feeling good. They are about fundamentally rewiring your brain and retuning your energetic signature to the frequency of universal abundance. By embracing gratitude, we learn to fall in love with our present moment. We anchor ourselves in the goodness that already exists, creating a powerful foundation from which to build an even more magnificent future. But this profound appreciation for the now, for this very moment, can often be clouded by the long, dark shadows of our past, old resentments we carry for others, deep-seated regrets for our own mistakes, and painful memories of what has been can act like heavy, rusted anchors, tethering our ship to a harbor of hurt. No matter how much we hoist the sails of our new intentions, we cannot move forward until we learn the courageous and deeply liberating art of cutting those ropes. To be truly free to create, we must first master the art of letting go. As we cultivate the beautiful, high-frequency state of gratitude, we learn to cherish the present moment. But the present can often feel like a single, sunlit clearing in a dark and haunted forest, a forest of our own past. We carry it with us, a heavy pack filled with every mistake, every injustice, every regret. We try to walk forward into a bright future, but our gaze is constantly drawn backward into that rearview mirror, replaying old scenes of what they did, what we should have said, and what might have been. This act of clinging to the past is one of the most significant drains on our creative energy. Every ounce of focus we give to an old grievance is an ounce of power stolen from the creation of our present joy. To truly be free to manifest a new reality, we must first learn the courageous and profoundly liberating art of releasing the anchor of the past. We must learn to let go. There is a parable that perfectly illustrates this human predicament. The story of the monkey trap. In some parts of the world, hunters have a simple, clever way to catch a monkey. They take a coconut or a hollowed-out gourd and drill a hole in it, just large enough for a monkey's open hand to fit through. Inside, they place a delicious prize, a sweet fruit or a handful of rice. They then secure the gourd to a tree and wait. Eventually, a monkey will come along, smell the treat, and slide its open hand through the hole. It will grasp the prize, closing its hand into a fist. But now, its fist is too large to pull back through the narrow opening. The monkey is trapped. It will pull and shriek and struggle for hours, but it will not be free. The bars of its cage are not made of iron. They are made of its own stubborn refusal to open its hand. The trap is its own grip. All it has to do to be free is to let go of the prize. But it so desperately wants the small reward that it sacrifices its ultimate freedom. We are all, in some way, that monkey. We are clinging to our own handfuls of rice. The grievances and regrets we believe are so important. We hold on to our resentment towards someone who wronged us, believing that our anger is somehow punishing them. We replay our own past mistakes, believing that our self-flagellation is a noble act of accountability. We clutch a very specific picture of how our life should have turned out. We think these things are valuable, our sense of being right, our identity as a victim, our detailed plans. But in reality, they are the very things that are keeping us trapped, tethered to a past that no longer exists anywhere but in our own minds. Freedom is always just one decision away, the decision to unclench our fist and let go. The two heaviest anchors we drag behind us are resentment toward others and regret for our own actions. Let us first address resentment and redefine the act of forgiveness. We have been taught that forgiving someone is a virtuous, altruistic gift to the person who hurt us. It is not. Forgiveness is the most profoundly selfish act you can perform. It has almost nothing to do with the other person. It is about setting yourself free. There is an old saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you harbor resentment, you are forcing your own nervous system to be continually marinated in the stress hormones of that original painful event. You are keeping the wound fresh, the memory alive, the energetic cord between you and that person active and strong. The other person, in all likelihood, has moved on with their life, while you are left alone, drinking the poison. To forgive is to make the conscious choice to stop drinking the poison. It is not about condoning what they did. It is not about letting them back into your life. It is simply about declaring, I will no longer allow what you did in the past to destroy my peace in the present. I release you. I release the debt. I release myself. The other anchor, which is often even heavier, is regret. This is the act of forgiving ourselves. We are often our own most relentless tormentors, holding our past selves to impossible standards. We look back at a decision we made 5 or 10 years ago and judge it with the wisdom and experience we have today. But this is an unfair trial. The person you were in the past did the best they could with the level of awareness and the emotional resources they had at that time. To forgive yourself is to extend the same compassion to your past self that you would to a frightened child or a dear friend. It is to look back, acknowledge the mistake, extract the lesson, and then release the emotional charge. It is the understanding that your past mistakes were not failures. They were tuition. They were the necessary curriculum for the wisdom you possess today. Because the subconscious mind responds so powerfully to ritual and symbolism. We can use practical techniques to facilitate this release. One of the most effective is the unsent letter. If there is someone you resent, or if you are holding on to self-recrimination, sit down and write a letter. Pour every ounce of your anger, pain, hurt, and disappointment onto the page. Do not censor yourself. Swear, cry, scream onto the paper. Empty the poison completely. When you are done, take a new sheet of paper and write a second letter. This one from the perspective of the person who hurt you, or from your wiser, future self. Have them offer the exact apology, the understanding, and the compassion that you have always longed to hear. Finally, take both letters to a safe place and burn them. As you watch the paper turn to ash, visualize all the heavy, dark energy of that memory turning to smoke and dissolving into the universe, neutralized and returned to nothingness. This physical act sends a powerful signal of closure to your subconscious mind. There is another, even more profound, layer of letting go. After we have done the work to release the past, we must also be careful not to develop a death grip on the future. We can become so attached to our desire manifesting in one very specific way, at one very specific time, that we strangle the life out of it. This attachment creates anxiety and signals a deep lack of trust in the universe. It is the energy of a micromanager, not a co-creator. True mastery of letting go involves releasing your attachment to the outcome. You do your part, you clarify your vision. You elevate your emotion. You release your limiting beliefs. And then, you must open your hands. You must trust that the infinite intelligence of the universe, which orchestrates the unfurling of galaxies and the blooming of flowers, has a far better vantage point than you do. You must trust that it will bring your desire to you, or something even better, in the perfect way and at the perfect time. This is the ultimate act of faith. It is the shift from "my will be done" to "thy will be done." This act of letting go, of opening our energetic hands and releasing the anchors of the past and the anxieties for the future, does something miraculous. It creates a space, a vacuum, a blessed void within us. When we stop desperately clinging to what was and stop trying to force what will be, we cease our struggle against the great river of life. For the first time, we release the oars of frantic effort. We quiet the engine of our fearful mind, and we allow ourselves to be carried by the powerful, intelligent, and benevolent current of the universe. This is the shift from forcing to flowing, the discovery of the profound and beautiful principle of least effort. In our modern culture, we are conditioned to worship at the altar of the grind. We are taught that success is a battlefield, that life is a struggle, and that the only way to achieve our goals is to exert our will upon the world through relentless, often grueling, effort. We are told no pain, no gain, and we learn to equate exhaustion with progress, and burnout with dedication. We imagine ourselves as heroic figures, single-handedly pushing a giant boulder up a steep hill, believing that the sweat on our brow and the ache in our muscles is the very measure of our worth. But what if this entire paradigm is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of power? What if the universe doesn't reward struggle? What if true power lies not in forcing, but in flowing? This is the heart of a profound Eastern philosophy known as Wu Wei, a central concept in Taoism that translates not to laziness or passivity, but to effortless action, or action without struggle. It is the art of achieving more by doing less. The wisdom of swimming with the current, not against it. There is an ancient Taoist story that perfectly illustrates this principle. On a mountainside grew a mighty, ancient oak tree. It was immense and powerful, its trunk thick and its branches unyielding. It took great pride in its strength and in its ability to resist the wind. Next to it, by a stream, grew a patch of slender reeds. They were flexible and humble, And when the wind blew, they would bend and dance with it. The oak tree looked down on the reeds with contempt, seeing their yielding nature as a sign of weakness. One night, a furious storm descended upon the mountain. The wind howled with incredible force. The proud oak tree stood rigid, fighting the gale with all its might, resisting the immense pressure. The humble reeds, however, simply bowed down low, letting the wind pass over them without a fight. When the morning came and the sun rose, the storm had passed. The mighty oak tree, which had resisted so fiercely, lay shattered and broken, its strength having become its own undoing. The slender reeds, which had surrendered to the force of the storm, simply stood up again, unharmed and glistening in the morning light. The lesson is clear, and profound rigidity in the face of life's great forces leads to breaking. True strength and true survival lies in the wisdom of flexibility, surrender, and alignment. This principle is not just a philosophical idea. It is a reflection of how the entire universe operates. Nature is the ultimate master of least effort. A seed does not struggle to become a tree. It simply unfolds according to its own innate intelligence, using the resources of sun and soil in the most efficient way possible. A river does not strain to carve a path to the ocean. It simply follows the terrain, finding the natural, easiest route. And over time, its gentle, persistent flow can cut through solid rock. The planets do not try to stay in their orbits. They are held in a perfect, effortless, cosmic dance by the universal law of gravity. In all of nature, you see harmony, efficiency, and a lack of resistance. Struggle is an invention of the human mind, of the ego that believes it is separate from this natural flow and must impose its own will upon it. When your life feels like a constant struggle, it is the most powerful feedback you can receive. It is the universe telling you that you are out of alignment. You are trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. So how do you know if you are forcing or flowing? Your emotional state and your external reality are your unerring guides. When you are in a state of forcing, your dominant emotions are frustration, anxiety, stress, and even resentment. Life feels like a grind. Your body will reflect this tension, perhaps with tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, or chronic fatigue. Externally, you will encounter constant obstacles. Projects will stall, people will be difficult, and you will find yourself expending immense amounts of energy for very small, unsatisfying gains. It is the feeling of pushing that boulder uphill, only to have it roll back down on you. This is the universe giving you loving resistance, trying to show you that there must be an easier, more harmonious way. Conversely, when you are in a state of flow, your emotional state is one of lightness, joy, engagement, and even a sense of wonder. Work ceases to feel like work. It becomes a form of play. You are energized, not drained, by your activities. Your body feels relaxed and healthy, and in your external reality, something magical begins to happen. The right doors seem to open effortlessly. The perfect person calls with the exact information you needed. An unexpected resource appears, just as you realize you need it. You experience a sense of grace and ease, as if you are being carried by a benevolent current. Progress is rapid and often surprising. This is the state of inspired action, where your desires are in perfect harmony with the flow of the universe, and the path of least resistance unfolds before you. Shifting from a state of forcing to a state of flowing is a conscious practice. As Deepak Chopra outlines in his book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, the foundation of least effort is acceptance. This means accepting people, situations, and circumstances exactly as they are in this present moment, not as you wish they were. This is not passivity. It does not mean you approve of a negative situation. It simply means you stop wasting your precious energy fighting against what already is. You cannot change what has already happened. And your resistance only creates internal turmoil. When you accept the isness of the moment, you liberate the enormous amount of energy that was tied up in resistance and frustration. And you can then redirect it toward a creative solution. The next step is to take responsibility without blame. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you ask a more empowering question. What is the lesson here? What is the opportunity hidden within this challenge? This shifts you from a powerless state to a creative one. Finally, you practice defenselessness. You relinquish the ego's need to always be right, to convince others, to defend your point of view. When you defend, you create conflict and resistance. When you remain open and undefended, you create a space for new, harmonious solutions to emerge. From this state of acceptance and openness, you learn to listen. Instead of creating a rigid to-do list based on fear and obligation, you quiet your mind. You meditate. You walk in nature. You create space. And you listen for the whisper of inspired action. This is the gentle pull, the sudden idea that feels light, exciting, and easy. It might be an urge to call a friend, to read a certain book, or to visit a particular place. This is the universe whispering the next step on your path of least resistance. When you learn to trust and act on these gentle nudges, you discover that the universe is always conspiring to guide you down the most joyful and efficient path. You trade the exhausting, ego-driven grind for a graceful, spirit-led dance. This state of flow, this feeling of being gracefully carried by the current of the universe, is not a vague, abstract sensation. It comes with its own unique set of signals and signposts. The universe is constantly communicating with us, leaving us clues that we are on the right path, confirming our alignment with its current. These clues often appear as meaningful coincidences, events so perfectly timed and placed that they defy simple explanation. Learning to recognize and interpret these messages is the key to navigating the river of life. This is the art of decoding synchronicities. As you begin to master the art of flowing with the current of life, something magical begins to happen. The world starts to talk back to you. You begin to notice the whispers of the universe, the little winks and nudges that confirm you are on the right path. Have you ever been wrestling with a difficult problem in your mind, only to overhear a snippet of a stranger's conversation that contains the exact phrase you needed to hear? Have you ever thought of a song for the first time in years, only for it to play on the radio the moment you start your car? Have you been plagued with uncertainty about a decision, asked for a sign, and then been confronted with a symbol or a message so specific and so blatant that it gives you goosebumps? Our rational minds, trained in a world of cause and effect, are quick to dismiss these moments. We label them flukes, coincidences, quirks of probability. But what if they are something more? What if they are evidence of a deeper, hidden order, a secret language through which the universe communicates with us directly? The great Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung gave a name to these phenomena. He called them synchronicities. A synchronicity is not just any coincidence. It is a meaningful coincidence, where an event in your inner world, a thought, a dream, a question, a feeling is mirrored by a corresponding event in the outer world. There is no direct, observable cause linking the two, yet the connection feels so profound, so personal, and so perfectly timed that it resonates with a deep sense of significance. It is a moment where the veil between mind and matter becomes transparent, revealing that the two are not separate, but are intimately and miraculously connected. Synchronicities are the tangible evidence that you are in a state of flow. They are the echoes that bounce back to you from the cosmos, proving that your inner reality is shaping your outer experience. Imagine your consciousness as a broadcasting tower, constantly sending out a signal based on your focus and your questions. The universe is a vast, interconnected network that receives this signal and reflects it back to you in the symbolic language of events, people, and information. A synchronicity is when that reflection is so clear and direct that it is impossible to misinterpret. It is a wink from the universe, a nod of acknowledgement, a sign that you are seen, you are heard, and you are in dialogue with a living, intelligent cosmos. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you are at a crossroads in your career, debating whether to leave your stable but unfulfilling job to pursue a lifelong passion for writing. You feel a mix of excitement and terror. One afternoon, you say to the universe, "Please, just give me a sign that I'm not crazy." The next morning, on your commute, the bus you are on gets stuck in traffic, directly beside a billboard you've never noticed before. It's an advertisement for a brand of pen, and the slogan, in giant letters, reads, "It's time to write your next chapter." Later that day, do you open a book at random, and your eyes fall on a sentence that says, "The only real risk is regret"? These are not random events. These are synchronicities. They are direct, symbolic answers to the question you put out into the universe. In James Redfield's classic spiritual parable, The Celestine Prophecy, the entire adventure of the main character is navigated by following a trail of these meaningful coincidences. Each chance encounter and random event provides him with the next crucial insight on his spiritual journey. The book masterfully illustrates that synchronicity is not just a series of isolated, amusing events, but can be a reliable and continuous breadcrumb trail left by the universe to guide you toward your highest purpose. So how do we become more attuned to this cosmic dialogue? How do we learn to not only notice these signs, but to understand their meaning? We must become, in essence, synchronicity detectives. The first step is simply to raise your antennae. The universe is always whispering, but our lives are often so loud, so filled with distraction, nuance, and cynicism, that we cannot hear it. The practice begins with a simple intention: I am open to receiving and noticing the signs and synchronicities in my life. By simply setting this intention, you are priming your subconscious mind to be on the lookout. You begin to move through your day with a heightened sense of curiosity and wonder, rather than a jaded sense of expectation. The second step is to suspend your disbelief. Your rational ego mind will try to explain everything away. It will want to reduce the magic to mere statistics. You must gently ask this part of your mind to take a back seat for a while. When a strange coincidence happens, resist the urge to immediately dismiss it. Instead, pause it. Acknowledge the feeling of wonder or surprise it evokes. Give it a moment of respect. This openness creates a space for the meaning to reveal itself. The third, and most important step, is to ask the right question. What is the message here for me? Synchronicities are deeply personal. The universe speaks to you in the language of your symbols, your memories, your passions. A dragonfly might be a powerful symbol for you, but mean nothing to another person. When a synchronicity occurs, immediately reflect on your inner state. What was I just thinking about? What problem was I wrestling with? What feeling was I experiencing? The context is the key that unlocks the meaning. The synchronicity is almost always a direct, symbolic response to your immediate inner dialogue. To truly master this language, it is incredibly helpful to keep a synchronicity journal. Keep a notebook where you record these events. Write down the date, a description of the outer event, the billboard, the song, the overheard conversation, and a description of your inner state at the time. Over time, as you review your journal, you will begin to see astonishing patterns emerge. You may discover that you always see a certain animal, like a hawk. Whenever you make an empowering decision, you may notice that a particular number sequence appears whenever you are straying from your authentic path. Your journal becomes your personal Rosetta Stone, your unique dictionary for translating the symbolic language of the universe. These messages are not just for your entertainment. They serve a profound purpose on your journey. Sometimes, their purpose is confirmation. They are a cosmic high five, a sign that your recent choices and thoughts are in perfect alignment with your highest good. They are the universe saying, "Yes, that's it, keep going in that direction." At other times, their purpose is direction. When you are feeling lost or uncertain, a synchronicity can appear like a lighthouse in the fog, pointing you toward a person you need to meet, a book you need to read, or a path you need to take. But ultimately, the grand purpose of synchronicity is awakening. Each meaningful coincidence is a crack in the mundane illusion of a random, mechanical world. It is a direct experience of the magical, interconnected nature of reality. Proof that you are not an isolated being, but a cherished and vital participant in a constant and meaningful dialogue with all of life. These messages, these cosmic winks and breadcrumbs, are not meant to be passively admired. They are not just spiritual curiosities. They are signposts. And signposts are meant to be followed. They are gentle but clear calls to action, but in a world that glorifies the relentless hustle and the busy grind. How do we distinguish between the frantic action, born of fear, and the calm, powerful action that arises in response to these synchronous nudges? This leads us to the crucial difference between mere activity and truly inspired action. Having learned to decode the synchronicities the universe sends our way, we arrive at a critical juncture. A signpost, after all, is meant to be followed. A breadcrumb is meant to be picked up. These cosmic messages are a call to engagement, a prompt for us to participate in our own creation. They are a call to action. But in our modern world, the concept of action has been hijacked by a relentless and often toxic philosophy, the cult of the hustle. We are taught that to be successful, we must be in a constant state of motion, grinding away from before sunrise to long after sunset. We are told to force our will upon the world, to outwork, outlast, and outsuffer our competition. We wear our exhaustion as a badge of honor and see a full calendar as a sign of a full life. While discipline and hard work certainly have their place, this glorification of the struggle is a profound misunderstanding of how true creation works. There are two fundamentally different types of action. There is action born from fear, and there is action born from inspiration. One is a desperate attempt to paddle against the current, and the other is the joyful act of riding the perfect wave. Let's first deconstruct the energy of hustle culture. At its core, hustle is almost always rooted in a deep-seated belief in scarcity and lack. It is driven by the fear that if you don't force things to happen, nothing will. The underlying assumptions are, there's not enough to go around, so I must fight for my share. My worth is directly proportional to my output, and if I rest, I will be left behind. Action that comes from this place feels heavy. It feels like a battle. It is the energy of pushing that great boulder up a hill, straining every muscle, only to have it roll back down. It is the salesperson making 100 cold calls with a tense jaw and a desperate heart, an act fueled by the fear of not meeting a quota. It is the entrepreneur working 18-hour days, not from a place of joy, but from a terror of failure. This type of action, while it may produce some results through sheer brute force, is unsustainable. It inevitably leads to stress, resentment, physical exhaustion, and spiritual burnout, because it is fundamentally out of alignment with the effortless nature of the universe. Now, consider a different way. Consider inspired action. Inspired action is not something you force yourself to do against a feeling of resistance. It is the natural, joyful, physical manifestation of the energetic alignment you have already cultivated after you have clarified your vision, elevated your emotion, and cleared your limiting beliefs. The universe begins to conspire with you. It sends you a synchronicity, a sign, a nudge. Inspired action is simply the next logical step you take in response to that nudge. It does not come from a place of fear. but from a place of trust and excitement. It is the universe working through you, not you working against it. It is the energy of co-creation, a joyful dance between your intention and the universe's infinite intelligence. Imagine a writer who is suffering from a severe case of writer's block. Let's look at how these two types of action would play out. The writer, operating from hustle culture, chains himself to his desk. He drinks pot after pot of coffee, stares at the blinking cursor with mounting anxiety, and tries to violently squeeze words out of his tired mind. He might write pages and pages of stilted, soulless prose, only to delete it all in frustration. The entire process is an agonizing battle, rooted in the fear of the deadline and the fear of failure. He is trying to force the creative well to give up water when it is empty. Now, consider the writer who understands inspired action. She sits at her desk, feels the resistance, the blankness, and recognizes it not as a personal failing, but as a simple sign that she is out of alignment. Instead of fighting it, she trusts the process. She gets up and does something that feels light and joyful. Perhaps she takes a long walk in the woods. She isn't thinking about her book. She is simply observing the play of light through the leaves, listening to the sound of a bird, and breathing in the fresh air. She is allowing her creative well to refill. As she is in this state of relaxed, open allowing, a perfect line of dialogue or a brilliant plot twist suddenly pops into her mind. A gift from the quiet. She feels a surge of excitement and energy, rushes back to her desk, and the words now flow onto the page with an ease and grace that was impossible just hours before. The first writer struggled and produced nothing. The second writer surrendered and produced a masterpiece. This is the difference between forcing and flowing. Learning to recognize inspired action requires you to become a connoisseur of your own feelings. Before you take an action, especially a big one, check in with your body. Does the thought of making that call, sending that email, or starting that project feel heavy and draining? Or does it feel light, expansive, and exciting? Your body is a remarkable barometer for alignment. Heaviness, tension, and a feeling of I should do this are the hallmarks of forcing. Lightness, excitement, and a feeling of I get to do this are the signatures of inspiration. Trust this internal guidance system above all else. Furthermore, it is crucial to understand that inspired action is often not a giant, dramatic leap. The ego loves grand gestures, but the universe usually communicates in whispers. Inspired action is often just the very next small step. It is the sudden urge to Google a seemingly random topic. It is the thought that pops into your head to reach out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a decade. It is the gentle pull to walk into a bookstore you've never been in before. Hustle culture might tell you that to find investors, you need to create a complex spreadsheet and cold call 100 venture capitalists. Inspired action might whisper, go get a coffee at that new cafe. And at that cafe, you happen to sit next to someone who knows the perfect person for you to talk to. You don't need to see the entire staircase. Your only job is to trust the gentle, joyful nudge that illuminates the very next step. This does not mean you simply sit on your couch and wait for your dreams to fall into your lap. Action is the crucial bridge between the non-physical realm of thought and emotion and the physical realm of results. When you receive an inspired nudge and you act on it, you are demonstrating your faith. You are telling the universe, I heard you. I trust you. I am ready to receive. Your action is the physical proof of your energetic alignment. It is faith in motion, and it is what allows the universe to bring you the next synchronicity, the next piece of the puzzle. By choosing the path of inspired action, we align ourselves with the grace and efficiency of the universe. We trade struggle for flow, and our journey becomes one of joyful discovery rather than a grim battle. But even when we are following these inspired nudges, there is often a period of time between taking an action and seeing its result. This is a sacred and often challenging gap. It is a space where our faith is truly tested, where we have planted the seeds of our actions but cannot yet see the sprouts. This is the crucial phase of cosmic gestation, a time that requires a profound trust in the unseen process. We have learned to follow the whispers of inspired action, to move in harmony with the universe. We have set our clear intention, aligned our energy, and taken that first joyful step. And then, often, there is silence. We enter a phase that can be one of the most challenging and misunderstood parts of the entire creative process, the gestation period. In a world that has conditioned us for instant gratification, instant downloads, next-day shipping, immediate responses, this sacred pause between planting a seed and seeing it sprout can feel like an eternity. It can feel like failure. It can feel as though the universe has not heard us. But this period of apparent inactivity is not a void. It is a vital, active, and profoundly magical phase where the unseen forces of the cosmos are hard at work, arranging the symphony of your success behind the curtain. How you choose to navigate this waiting period will determine whether your dream blossoms into reality or withers from a lack of faith. Imagine you are a wise farmer. You have selected the perfect seed. Representing your clearest intention, you have prepared the soil, making it fertile and receptive. Just as you have prepared your subconscious mind, you plant the seed, and you water it with the powerful emotions of gratitude and joy. Now, what do? A foolish, anxious farmer would be consumed by doubt. He would go out to the field every single day, dig up the seed, and inspect it to see if it was growing. In his desperate need for proof and reassurance, he would inevitably destroy the very creation he wished to nurture. The wise farmer, however, operates from a place of trust. He knows that, after planting the seed, a miraculous and complex process has begun beneath the surface, hidden from his eyes. He knows the seed is breaking open, sending down roots, and gathering the strength to push through the soil. He doesn't need to see it to believe it. His job is not to interfere, but to continue nurturing the environment. He waters the soil with continued faith. He protects it from the weeds of doubt and fear. And he trusts that nature, in its infinite wisdom, they will bring forth the sprout in its own perfect timing. We must learn to become wise farmers of our dreams. There is a powerful story that illustrates this principle on a grander scale, the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. When the farmer plants the seed of this remarkable tree, a test of immense patience begins. He waters and fertilizes the ground for the entire first year. And at the end of the year, nothing has broken through the soil. He continues his faithful work for a second year. And still, nothing. The third year, the same. The fourth year, still nothing but bare earth. His neighbors, seeing him watering an empty patch of ground day after day, might call him a fool. This 4-year period is the gestation period. This is the time where most people give up on their dreams. They see no external evidence, no proof that their efforts are working. And so they walk away, convinced their seed was a dud. But the wise farmer persists. And then, sometime in the 5th year, a tiny sprout finally emerges. And what happens next is a miracle of nature. In a period of just 6 weeks, the Chinese bamboo tree explodes skyward, growing to a staggering height of 90 feet. The question is, did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? The answer is a definitive no. The tree was growing for 5 full years. In those 5 years of apparent silence, it was engaged in a furious, unseen process. It was building a vast, strong, and intricate network of roots, a foundation powerful enough to support its massive, rapid, and spectacular growth. Without that 5-year period of building the foundation, the sudden upward growth would be impossible. So it is with your dreams. That period of silence after you have launched your intention is your bamboo tree phase. It is the time when the universe is building your root system. It is rearranging circumstances, moving people into and out of your life, clearing old pathways and forging new ones. It is creating the necessary foundation to support the full weight and glory of the reality you have asked for. If you could see the incredible, complex web of events being orchestrated on your behalf, you would be breathless with awe. But because you cannot see it, your only job is to trust the process. Your only job is to keep watering the ground. This waiting period is not passive. It is an active test of your faith. The universe, in its wisdom, will often send you circumstances that seem to be the very opposite of what you have asked for. These are the tests. It is easy to feel abundant when money is flowing in. But can you hold the feeling of abundance when you receive an unexpected bill? It is easy to feel healthy when your body is full of energy. But can you affirm your wholeness when you catch a cold? It is easy to believe in love when you are on a wonderful date. But can you maintain your faith in its arrival after a disappointing encounter? These are not signs that your manifestation is failing. They are opportunities for you to demonstrate the conviction of your belief. Every time you are presented with contrary evidence and you choose to hold your vision and your high emotional state steady, you are telling the universe, "No, I am not swayed by temporary appearances. I know the truth of what I am creating." Each time you pass one of these tests, you send another deep root into the soil, strengthening your foundation. So, how do you thrive in this sacred waiting room? You must become the vigilant guardian of your own focus and energy. You must consciously choose to feed your faith and starve your doubt. When a negative thought or a fearful feeling arises, do not fight it or suppress it. Simply acknowledge it without judgment, and then gently and deliberately pivot your attention back to your desired reality. Remind yourself of your vision. Reread your script. Listen to an audiobook that inspires you. Talk to a friend who uplifts you. Do whatever it takes to return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Secondly, continue to live as if. This is the art of acting from the end result. If you are creating a successful business, you don't sit around waiting for clients to appear. You joyfully work on your website. You brainstorm new products. You speak with the authority of a successful CEO. You are living from a place of joyful preparation, not desperate waiting. And perhaps most importantly, you must find your happiness now. Do not postpone your joy until your desire manifests. This is the greatest trap of all, for it places you in a constant state of needy, wanting energy. You must find fulfillment, peace, and love in your life as it is today. Go for a walk. Savoir un meow. Laugh with a friend. To be grateful for the simple miracle of your own existence. This sends the most powerful signal of all to the universe. It says, "I am already whole. I am already happy. I am already complete. This desire I have is not to fill a hole within me, but as a wonderful, additional expression of the joy I already am." This detached, non-needy, and already fulfilled energy is magnetically attractive. It signals to the universe that you are a vibrational match for even more joy and fulfillment. This unwavering trust in the unseen process is a cornerstone of conscious creation. It allows us to hold our course, even when the seas are calm and there is no land in sight. But what happens when the journey isn't just calm and silent? What happens when a storm appears on the horizon? When events unfold that seem to be the absolute polar opposite of what we are trying to create? How do we navigate these apparent setbacks? These negative events that seem to mock our faith and invalidate our efforts. To understand this, we must look at the paradoxical and often mysterious way the universe builds our path. Not just with smooth stones, but sometimes with what appears to be wreckage. We must learn to see the bridge of incidents. We have spoken of trusting the process during the quiet times, during the sacred gestation period, when all is silent and we must have faith in the unseen. But what happens when the universe is not silent? What happens when it roars? When a storm breaks, and when an event occurs that seems to be the absolute, undeniable, soul-crushing opposite of everything you have been working toward. You have been diligently visualizing financial abundance, and you suddenly lose your job. You have been affirming your perfect health, and you receive a frightening diagnosis. you have been cultivating the feeling of deep, committed love, and the relationship you cherish abruptly ends. It is in these moments that our faith is tested by fire. It feels like a cosmic betrayal, like the universe is mocking our efforts, providing definitive proof that this entire philosophy is a foolish fantasy. But what if it is in these very moments of apparent disaster that the universe is answering our prayers most directly? What if the crumbling of our current reality is not the end of the road, but the road itself? This is the profound and often paradoxical concept known as the bridge of incidence. The great mystic Neville Goddard taught that once you successfully impress your subconscious mind with a new state of being, the universe will move to make that state a physical fact through the most natural series of events possible. The crucial piece of wisdom here is that the universe's definition of natural is far more intelligent and far-reaching than our own limited, linear perspective. We want our desires to manifest along a straight, smooth, and pleasant path. The universe, however, is not concerned with our comfort. It is concerned with our evolution. It sees the most efficient and effective path to our highest good, even if that path requires a period of demolition and what we would perceive as chaos. The job you lost might have been the very thing keeping you in a comfortable cage, preventing you from seeking the fulfilling, higher-paying career that was waiting for you. Its removal, while terrifying in the moment, was the necessary catalyst to propel you toward your greater good. The painful breakup might have been the universe's only way of clearing a space for the true, soul-level partnership you were asking for. A partnership that could never have grown on the flawed foundation of your previous relationship. The negative event is often not the obstacle to your manifestation. It is the pathway to it. It is one of the necessary incidents on the bridge that leads from your old reality to your new one. There is a timeless Taoist fable that perfectly illustrates the folly of labeling events as good or bad with our limited vision. An old farmer lived in a poor village, and his most prized possession was a beautiful horse. One day, the horse ran away. The farmer's neighbors came to console him, saying, "Oh, what terrible luck, this is a disaster." The farmer simply replied, "Good luck. Bad luck. Who knows?" A week later, the horse returned, and it brought with it a herd of magnificent wild horses. The neighbors were overjoyed for him, exclaiming, "What incredible good fortune! You are a rich man now." The farmer just shrugged and said, "Good luck. Bad luck. Who knows?" The next day, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of the wild horses when he was thrown off and his leg was badly broken. The neighbors again offered their sympathies. "How awful," they said. "Your son is injured, and you have no one to help you with the harvest. This is truly bad luck." The farmer replied, "As always. Good luck. Bad luck. Who knows?" A few weeks later, the emperor's army marched into the village, conscripting every single able-bodied young man for a brutal war from which few would return. When they saw the farmer's son with his broken leg, they passed him by. His life was spared. The event that seemed like a tragedy was, in fact, his greatest blessing. This story teaches us a profound lesson in humility. We see only a tiny fragment of the grand, intricate tapestry of our lives. To label any single event as a disaster is to presume we know the ending of the story. The practice, then, is to become a spiritual alchemist. To learn how to find the gold hidden within the lead of our challenges. When a seemingly negative event occurs, we must resist the victim's impulse to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead, adopt the empowered creator's question, "How might this be happening for me?" We must train ourselves to look for the hidden opportunity. Ask yourself, what is this situation forcing me to develop within myself? Is it resilience, courage, compassion? What old identity or attachment is this event asking me to release? What new door, which I couldn't see before, might this be opening? By asking these questions, you shift from a state of powerless reaction to a state of conscious co-creation. You begin to see the event not as a roadblock, but as a cryptic clue on a cosmic treasure hunt. To strengthen your faith in this principle, conduct a simple review of your own life. Look back at your past and identify a moment that, at the time, felt like a complete disaster, a painful rejection, a humiliating failure, a devastating loss. Now, from your current vantage point, trace the path that unfolded from that point. Can you see, in retrospect, how that terrible event was a crucial turning point? Did that rejection lead you to meet the true love of your life? Did that business failure teach you a lesson that became the cornerstone of your later success? Did that loss force you to discover a depth of inner strength you never knew you had? Nearly all of us can find at least one powerful example from our own history where the universe wrote straight with what appeared to be crooked lines. This personal, experiential proof is more valuable than any book or lecture. It is the evidence that builds unshakable faith. When you truly integrate this understanding, you can begin to live in a state that some have called paranoia. Paranoia is the opposite of paranoia. Paranoia is the delusional belief that the universe is conspiring against you. Paranoia is the radical and delightful belief that the universe is constantly conspiring in your favor. It is the foundational assumption that every single event, no matter how it appears on the surface, is secretly a gift, a guidepost, a helper on your journey. To live with paranoia is to walk through the world with a sense of wonder and trust, knowing that even in the midst of a demolition, a grander plan is unfolding. Imagine your life as a house, and you've asked the universe for a magnificent renovation. You cannot simply place a new, modern kitchen on top of old, rotting foundations. The first necessary step is demolition. It is messy. It is loud. It is disruptive. Walls are torn down. Floors are ripped up. To a passerby, it looks like utter destruction. But to the architect, it is an exciting and essential phase of progress. Sometimes, our lives require a demolition phase. The universe must help us clear away the old jobs, the old habits, the old relationships, and the old identities that cannot be brought into the new structure we are building. We must learn to trust the divine demolition. So when you face what seems to be a setback, take a deep breath. Remember the Taoist farmer. Remember your own past victories born from apparent defeat. See the event not as a wall, but as one more stone in the bridge that is leading you exactly where you need to go. Trust that the architect of the universe is a master builder, and that sometimes the sound of crashing walls is the music of progress. As we learn to trust this grand, unfolding process and see the hidden blessings within our challenges, our perspective begins to widen. We start to see the intricate connections not just in our own lives, but between our life and the lives of others. We begin to understand that our personal journey of creation is not happening in isolation. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and our intentions are like ripples in a vast pond, intersecting and interacting with the ripples of every other conscious being. This leads us from the personal to the universal, to the profound and humbling realization of the collective consciousness. Thus far, our journey has been an internal one, an exploration of the incredible power held within your own individual consciousness to shape your personal reality. We have learned to become the architects of our own lives. But now, it is time to zoom out, to lift our gaze from the single, beautiful drop of our own experience and to behold the vast, magnificent ocean of which we are all an intrinsic part. We are not solitary islands of consciousness, adrift in a lonely sea. We are all connected, deeply and inextricably, within a vast, non-local field of shared awareness, a psychic atmosphere that contains the sum total of all human experience. This is the concept of the collective consciousness. It is a shared reservoir of every thought, every joy ever felt, every fear ever harbored, and every dream ever imagined by every human who has ever lived. And just as a single drop of water is both distinct and inseparable from the ocean, your individual consciousness is both yours and, at the same time, a contributor to and receiver from this collective human mind. This may sound like a purely abstract or philosophical concept, but we see its expressions all around us. Every single day. Think of the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age. Why do certain ideas, fashions, artistic movements, and social shifts seem to arise simultaneously in different parts of the world? Unconnected by any direct communication, this can be seen as a thought form reaching a critical mass within the collective consciousness, making it available for receptive minds everywhere to tap into. Consider 2. The powerful waves of collective emotion that sweep across the globe. During a global financial crisis or a pandemic, the palpable, contagious fear that spreads through societies is far more than just the result of media reports. It is a powerful thought form of anxiety that dominates the collective field, an energetic frequency that individuals then tune into, experience, and amplify with their own fear, making the wave even stronger. Conversely, consider the powerful movements of hope and social change. When a call for justice or freedom resonates around the world, it feels like a rising tide because that is precisely what it is, a tide of consciousness, a collective shift in awareness toward a new possibility for humanity. There is a powerful, albeit anecdotal, story from the world of science that serves as a perfect metaphor for how this works. The story of the 100th monkey effect. In the 1950s, scientists were studying colonies of Japanese macaque monkeys on the island of Koshima. As part of their study, they would leave sand-covered sweet potatoes on the beach. The monkeys liked the potatoes but disliked the sand. One day, a brilliant young female monkey, whom the scientists named Emo, figured out that she could wash the sand off her potato in a nearby stream. Having made this discovery, she taught the trick to her mother and her immediate playmates. For a time, only these few monkeys who had direct contact with Emo practiced this new, intelligent behavior. But then, according to the story, something remarkable happened. Once a certain, critical number of monkeys on the island had learned to wash their potatoes. The story legendarily calls this the 100th monkey. The consciousness of the group seemed to reach a tipping point. Suddenly, and seemingly inexplicably, monkeys on other nearby islands, and even on the mainland of Japan, monkeys who had absolutely no physical contact with the original group spontaneously began washing their sweet potatoes. The new awareness had somehow transcended the physical barrier of the ocean and become the shared property of the entire species. It had been uploaded to the collective consciousness of the macaque monkeys. This story, whether scientifically rigorous or not, provides a breathtaking metaphor for our own potential. It suggests that when a new awareness, a new skill, or a higher state of being is achieved by a critical mass of individuals, it can become effortlessly available to all. This brings the vast concept of the collective consciousness directly back to you, and to the profound significance of your own inner work. Your personal energy field, your state of being, does not exist in a private bubble. Every thought you think and every emotion you hold is a drop of energy that you are constantly adding to the collective ocean. When you choose to indulge in fear, judgment, anger, or despair, you are adding a tiny drop of energetic pollution to the psychic atmosphere that we all breathe. It is a small contribution, but it is a contribution nonetheless. Conversely, when you do the difficult and courageous work of raising your own vibration, when you practice forgiveness, when you choose compassion over judgment, when you hold a state of peace, in the midst of chaos, you are doing something of monumental importance. You are adding a drop of pure, healing, life-giving water to the collective. Your inner work ceases to be a selfish act focused only on improving your own life. It becomes a sacred service to all of humanity. You are, in effect, choosing to be one of the 100 monkeys, consciously practicing a higher way of being, and by your very existence, helping to create the tipping point that will make that state of consciousness more easily accessible for everyone. If this sounds like wishful thinking, consider the startling evidence from studies on the power of focus group intention in a series of experiments in the 1980s and 90s, often referred to as the Maharishi effect. Groups of individuals trained in advanced meditation techniques gathered in high-crime urban areas, such as Washington, D.C. They meditated together daily for a period of weeks, holding a coherent, focused intention of peace for the surrounding population. The results, published in peer-reviewed journals, were staggering. During the periods of collective meditation, violent crime rates in the city dropped significantly by as much as 25%. These drops could not be explained by any other variable, such as weather or policing tactics. When the group of meditators left, the crime rates rose again. This study suggests that a relatively small number of people holding a coherent state of peace can have a measurable, calming influence on the chaotic energy of the surrounding social field. It is a real-world demonstration that our inner state of being has a direct and powerful effect on the world around us. This profound understanding of our interconnectedness changes everything. It elevates our personal journey from a simple quest for individual happiness to a sacred responsibility for the well-being of the whole. It transforms our inner work from a selfish act into a global service. It means that your decision to find peace within yourself contributes to peace in the world. Your decision to heal your own heart contributes to healing the heart of humanity. When we truly grasp that our state of being is our ultimate contribution to the world, a new, more powerful question naturally arises. We begin to move beyond simply asking, "What do I want to get for myself?" and we start to ask, "What am I uniquely designed to create and contribute? What is the special gift that I am meant to bring to the collective?" This is the shift from manifestation to alignment, the sacred journey to discovering and living your true soul's purpose. As we become more attuned to our connection with the collective consciousness, a natural evolution in our desires begins to occur. Most of us are initially drawn to this knowledge of mind over matter with a kind of cosmic shopping list in hand. We want to manifest a better car, a bigger house, a promotion at work, a romantic partner. There is absolutely nothing wrong with these desires. The universe is infinitely abundant, and the desire for a more beautiful, comfortable, and joyful life is a natural and healthy impulse. But this is only the kindergarten of creation. If we stay at this level, using these profound spiritual laws merely as a tool for acquiring possessions, we will eventually find ourselves in a state of gilded emptiness. We may get the car and the house, but we will find that the thrill is fleeting. And a deeper, more persistent question begins to echo in our hearts. Is this all there is? This is because the things are never the point. Manifestation is not the destination. It is a tool, a divine compass designed to guide you toward your one true north, the discovery and fulfillment of your soul's purpose. There is no story that illustrates this truth more beautifully than Paulo Coelho's masterpiece, The Alchemist. The story follows a young shepherd boy named Santiago, who has a recurring dream about a great treasure hidden at the base of the Egyptian pyramids. This treasure represents the cosmic shopping list, the external goals we all chase. Driven by this dream, Santiago sells his flock and embarks on a long and perilous journey. Along the way, he is robbed of all his money. He is forced to work for a year in a crystal shop. He falls deeply in love, and he faces the dangers of the vast desert. He learns the language of the birds and the wind. He learns the secrets of alchemy, and he discovers a courage and wisdom within himself that he never knew he possessed. When he finally reaches the pyramids, after years of struggle and growth, he discovers the physical treasure. But by then, he has realized the profound truth of his journey. The gold was never the real treasure. The real treasure was the man he had been forged into along the way. The real treasure was the fulfillment of what the book calls his personal legend. This is the great secret of manifestation. The universe uses your desire for external things. The treasure is bait to lure you onto the path of your unique purpose. You think you are on a journey to get a thing, but the universe knows you are on a journey to become someone. The challenges you face, the skills you are forced to learn, the fears you must overcome on the path to manifesting your goal are the very curriculum your soul needs for its evolution. The manifestation itself is simply the trophy you receive for completing the transformation. When you understand this, your entire relationship with desire changes. You stop desperately chasing the outcome and you start falling in love with the journey of becoming. So how do you discover this personal legend? Your unique purpose. It is rarely revealed in a single, thunderous moment of revelation. More often, it is a trail of quiet clues. A path of joyful breadcrumbs that has been waiting for you your entire life. Your only job is to learn to recognize them. The first clue is the energy of passion. What makes you feel truly alive? What activities cause you to lose all track of time? Think back to your childhood. Before the world told you what you should be interested in, what did you naturally love to do? Did you love to draw? To build things? To tell stories? To organize your toys? To care for animals? Your passions are not random. They are signposts from your soul, pointing you in the direction of your purpose. The second clue is your innate talent. What comes so easily to you that you mistakenly assume it's easy for everyone? Are you a natural teacher, able to explain complex ideas in a simple way? Are you a gifted connector, effortlessly bringing people together? Are you a natural artist, a born problem solver, a calming presence? We often devalue our greatest gifts precisely because they don't feel like work. Your purpose is almost always hiding in plain sight, disguised as your natural, effortless talent. The third, and perhaps most profound clue, lies in your deepest wounds. Your greatest pain can be transmuted into your greatest purpose. If you have successfully navigated a journey of healing from a serious illness, perhaps your purpose is to guide and inspire others on their own healing paths. If you've climbed your way out of deep financial struggle, perhaps your purpose is to teach others the principles of prosperity and freedom. Your mess becomes your message. Your scars prove to others that their wounds can also be healed. Your wisdom is the treasure you brought back from your darkest journeys. Ultimately, purpose is found at the intersection, where your personal joy meets a collective need. The central question of your life begins to shift from what can I get to what can I give? How can my unique combination of passions, talents, and transformed wisdom be of service to others, to the collective? When you align your intentions with this spirit of contribution, a remarkable amplification occurs. Your creative power increases exponentially. You are no longer a single, small wave trying to make its way to shore. You have now aligned yourself with the entire, unstoppable current of the ocean of cosmic evolution. The universe throws its full and mighty support behind intentions that serve the greater good. Your motivation is no longer fragile and external, dependent on getting a reward. It becomes powerful and internal, fueled by the intrinsic joy of doing the work you were born to do. This is the energy that never leads to burnout. And, as the alchemist so famously states, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. This is never more true than when the something you want is the fulfillment of your personal legend. This leads to a complete redefinition of success. A successful life is not measured by the numbers in a bank account or the square footage of a house. A truly successful life is a life lived on purpose. It is the deep, quiet satisfaction of waking up each morning knowing that you are using your unique gifts in a meaningful way. It is the joy of knowing that your presence on this planet is making a positive contribution, whether to one person or to millions. From this new perspective, the things you manifest are no longer the goal. They are simply the tools. Money is no longer a status symbol. It is the fuel for your mission. A beautiful home is no longer for show. It is the sanctuary where you recharge your energy so you can continue to give your gifts to the world. When you begin to live in this state of alignment with your unique purpose, a natural and beautiful desire arises from within, a desire to share your light, to give your gift, to radiate the love and wisdom you are discovering. You become like a lighthouse, eager to guide others safely to shore. But a lighthouse cannot shine if its generator is empty. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give to the world what you do not first possess yourself. And so, before you can truly and sustainably serve the world from a place of wholeness, you must first ensure that your own inner well is full to overflowing. This brings us to the most fundamental prerequisite for both a purpose-filled life and effective creation, the non-negotiable, foundational practice of self-love. We have arrived at what is perhaps the most crucial and often most challenging aspect of our entire journey into conscious creation. It is the foundation upon which every other principle rests. You can have the most vivid visualizations, the most emotionally charged affirmations, and the most perfectly aligned sense of purpose. But if this one single element is missing, your entire creative structure is built on cracked and crumbling ground, destined to fail. This ultimate prerequisite, this non-negotiable cornerstone of a magical life, is the practice of radical, unconditional self-love. Without it, you are trying to receive a magnificent gift with your hands clenched into fists of unworthiness. You are trying to fill a cup that is riddled with the holes of self-rejection. Let us be clear about this from a purely energetic standpoint. The universe responds not to your fleeting wishes, but to your dominant, abiding vibration. You can spend 30 minutes a day visualizing wealth and success. But if you spend the other 23.5 hours steeped in a subconscious belief that you are not good enough, not smart enough, not deserving enough, then what is the dominant signal you are broadcasting? The frequency of unworthiness is a powerful repellent. It is a dissonant static that scrambles your creative signal. It is a message to the universe that says, "No, don't send that good thing to me. I don't deserve it. Or even if it comes, I will surely find a way to sabotage it. Because deep down, I believe I am a failure." You cannot attract prosperity while feeling worthless. You cannot attract true love while feeling unlovable. You cannot create a healthy body while hating the body you are in. Your level of self-love determines the ceiling of what you will allow yourself to receive. It is vital that we redefine what self-love truly is. Our culture often trivializes it, reducing it to superficial acts of self-care like bubble baths, spa days, or buying yourself a treat. While these things can be lovely, they are not the heart of the matter. True self-love is not about pampering, and it is certainly not selfishness or narcissism. Self-love is the courageous and profound act of recognizing your own inherent, divine, and infinite value. A value that is completely independent of your accomplishments, your bank balance, your physical appearance, or the opinions of others. It is the deep, cellular, knowing that you were born worthy, and that nothing you could ever do, say, or experience could possibly diminish that essential worth. It is a commitment to treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and respect that you would offer to the person you love most in the entire world. And this provides us with the most practical model for how to begin. I want you to take a moment and bring to mind your dearest friend, or perhaps a beloved child or pet. Imagine this loved one comes to you in a moment of crisis. They've made a huge mistake. They've failed at something important, and they are feeling broken, ashamed, and worthless. Now, consider how you would respond. Would you berate them? Would you call them stupid and list all their previous failures? Would you tell them they are a hopeless case and that you are disgusted with them? Of course not. The very idea is abhorrent. Instead, you would likely wrap them in your arms. You would listen to their story with empathy and without judgment. You would remind them of their incredible strength, their beauty, their past successes. You would tell them that this one mistake does not define their entire being. You would offer them patience, unwavering support, and your unconditional love. The great work of your life is to learn how to become this best friend to yourself. This practice can be built upon 4 essential pillars. The first pillar is kind self-talk. For many of us, Our inner critic is a relentless and vicious tyrant. We speak to ourselves in a way we would never, ever speak to another human being. The first step is to simply become aware of this inner dialogue. Start to monitor the voice in your head. When you catch it engaging in criticism, judgment, or name-calling, you must consciously intervene. In that moment, ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? If the answer is no, then you must stop and intentionally reframe the thought. Instead of, I can't believe I messed that up, I'm such an idiot, you consciously shift to, okay, that didn't go as planned, but it was a valuable learning experience. I am capable and intelligent, and I will do better next time. The pioneering work of Louise Hay, particularly her practice of mirror work, is a powerful tool here. The simple act of looking yourself in the eyes in a mirror each day and saying, with feeling, I love you, I really, truly love you, can begin to powerfully reprogram that harsh inner critic into a compassionate inner ally. The second pillar is the practice of setting healthy boundaries. This is an act of profound self-respect. Every time you say yes to something that drains your energy or violates your peace, simply to please someone else or avoid conflict, you are sending a message to yourself that your own needs are not important. Setting a boundary, saying no to a request, limiting your time with negative people, protecting your time for rest and creativity is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. It is a declaration that your well-being matters. It is how you honor your own energy and teach others that it is valuable and not to be taken for granted. The third pillar is nurturing your physical body. Your body is not your enemy. It is not a project to be endlessly perfected or criticized. It is the sacred, intelligent, and miraculous physical vessel that carries your consciousness through this life. To practice self-love is to treat this vessel with the honor it deserves. This isn't about punishing exercise regimes or restrictive diets. It is about listening to your body with love. It is about eating food that makes you feel vibrant and energized. It is about moving your body in ways that bring you joy. It is about giving yourself the profound gift of adequate rest and sleep. It is about touching your own body with gratitude for its incredible ability to heal, to feel, and to experience the world. The fourth pillar is the most challenging for many: forgiving your imperfections. To love yourself is to embrace your full humanity, and that includes your flaws, your mistakes, and your shadow side. You must release the impossible standard of perfection. Look back at the person you were 5, 10, 20 years ago and forgive them for what they did not know. They were doing the best they could with the awareness they had. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made yesterday. Each one was a lesson, a necessary part of your curriculum. True self-love is not about being flawless. It is about being whole. It is about loving the entirety of who you are, not just the polished and presentable parts. Ultimately, your relationship with yourself sets the energetic template for every other relationship in your life, including your relationship with the universe. You are constantly teaching people and the cosmos how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. If you constantly criticize and devalue yourself, you will find yourself a vibrational match for critical and devaluing people and circumstances. If you betray your own needs and boundaries, you will attract experiences that reflect that self-betrayal. But when you begin to truly treat yourself as someone who is precious, worthy, and deserving of unconditional love, your entire energetic signature changes. You become a magnetic match for people and experiences that reflect that same love, honor, and respect back to you. You show the universe your worth by demonstrating it to yourself first. This profound practice of self-love, of becoming your own compassionate best friend, leads to a state of radical self-acceptance. You stop fighting with yourself. You stop resisting your own humanity. You begin to accept yourself fully, flaws and all, right here and right now. And when you can truly accept who you are in this present moment, without needing to change anything to be worthy, You unlock the door to the single greatest source of power in the universe. You discover the magic and the majesty that can only be found in the eternal point of power, the now. We have now arrived at the very epicenter of creative power. The single point in all of eternity from which your reality is generated. It is a place so simple and so obvious that our complex minds almost always overlook it. We are speaking of the present moment. The now. Our human condition is a strange paradox. Our bodies exist only in the present. Yet our minds are almost never there. Our minds are perpetual time travelers, constantly malfunctioning, flinging us back into a dusty museum of past regrets and resentments, or forward into a fantastical theme park of future anxieties and what-if scenarios. The one place our minds refuse to be is in the only place where life is actually happening, right here, in this moment. But here is the radical and liberating truth. A truth championed by modern spiritual masters like Eckhart Tolle. The past and the future do not truly exist. They are phantoms, mental constructs, illusions of the mind. The past is a collection of now moments that are over. The future is a collection of now moments that have not yet arrived. The only point of access you have to life, the only moment where you hold any power whatsoever to feel, to choose, to act, and to create, is this one eternal, ever-present moment of now. To understand why this is so critical, we must recognize how living in the past or the future constitutes a massive leakage of our creative life force. When your mind is dwelling on the past, you are pouring your precious present moment energy into a ghost. You are reanimating old memories, refeeling old hurts, and re-energizing old grievances. The emotions associated with the past, regret, guilt, shame, resentment, are heavy, low-frequency vibrations that act as an anchor, tethering you to a reality that is finished. It is the energetic equivalent of trying to power your car forward by pouring gasoline on the road you've already left behind. It is a futile waste of your vital resources. Similarly, when your mind projects itself into the future, it is almost always engaged in the act of worrying. You create endless hypothetical scenarios. You rehearse arguments that may never happen. And you try to control a multitude of outcomes that are utterly beyond your control. This is not productive planning. It is a state of anxiety. You are squandering your present moment power on imaginary problems, which weakens your ability to respond effectively to the reality that is actually in front of you. Both of these states, dwelling on the past and worrying about the future, are forms of resistance. They are a non-acceptance of the what is of this moment. By escaping into these mental illusions, we forfeit our power. The point of power is never back then or when I finally get. The point of power is always, and only, now. Eckhart Tolle offers a brilliant concept to help us understand the pull of the past, the pain body. He describes the pain body as an accumulation of all the unresolved emotional pain from our lives, the grief, the fear, the anger that we couldn't fully process at the time. This old energy congeals into a semi-autonomous energy field within us. It lies dormant much of the time, but it needs to feed to survive. And its food is more pain. Periodically, the pain body will awaken and hijack our minds. It will generate a stream of negative, pessimistic thoughts. It will provoke arguments with loved ones. And it will draw dramatic and painful situations to us. Also, it can feed on the resulting misery. Many of us are living under the possession of our pain body without even knowing it. The only thing that can dissolve the pain body is the light of your conscious, present moment awareness. When you can witness the rise of that old emotion within you, the surge of anger, the wave of sadness, without becoming completely identified with it, you are no longer feeding it. By saying, I see the pain body is active right now, you create a space between you, the conscious observer, and the pain. In that space, the pain body starves, and you reclaim your freedom. This is the power of being present. So how do we train our time-traveling minds to return to this powerful point of now? We do it through simple, tangible practices that anchor us in the present reality. The most fundamental and accessible anchor you have is your breath. Your mind can wander to the beginning of time or the end of the universe. But your breath is always, and only, happening right now. Take a moment to try this. Close your eyes and bring your full attention to the sensation of your breathing. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils. Follow it down into your lungs. Feel your chest or abdomen expand. Then, follow the sensation as the air leaves your body. Don't try to change your breathing. Just observe it. Inevitably, your mind will wander. The moment you notice it has wandered, gently and without judgment, escort it back to the sensation of the breath. Each time you do this, you are strengthening your presence muscle, another incredibly effective technique, especially when you feel lost in anxiety, is the 5 to 4 -3, -2 to 1g rounding method. It forcefully pulls your awareness out of the abstract realm of thought and into the tangible world of the senses, wherever you are. Pause and silently name to yourself 5 things you can see. Look at them intently: the grain of wood on your desk, the exact shade of blue of a book cover, the way light reflects off a metal object. Then, name 4 things you can feel: the solidity of the floor beneath your feet, the texture of the fabric of your clothes against your skin, the temperature of the air, the weight of your hands in your lap. Next, name 3 things you can hear: the distant hum of traffic, the ticking of a clock, the subtle sound of your own breathing. Then, 2 things you can smell: the faint aroma of coffee, the scent of soap on your hands. Finally, name 1 thing you can taste, even if it's just the neutral taste of your own mouth, in just a few moments. This practice yanks you out of the imaginary future and plants you firmly back in your body, in the reality of now. When you become anchored in the present moment, you are no longer a puppet of your past conditioning. When you are lost in thought, you are on autopilot. Someone says something, and an old program is triggered, causing an automatic and predictable reaction of anger, fear, or insecurity. But when you are fully present, a space opens up between the external stimulus and your response. In that precious, silent space lies your ultimate freedom. You can observe the old impulse to get angry rising within you, and you can choose not to follow it. You can see the old, fearful thought appearing in your mind, and you can choose not to believe it. This is the birth of the conscious creator. You stop being a bundle of pre-programmed reactions and become the calm, deliberate chooser of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. This is the source of all true power. By anchoring ourselves in the now, practicing radical self-love, and living in alignment with our purpose, we begin to operate from a completely new state of being. We are no longer defined by our past or anxious about our future. We are grounded, empowered, and whole. This fundamental shift in our internal world naturally leads to a profound shift in our external reality, particularly in how we view and experience prosperity. We move beyond the narrow definition of wealth as mere money and begin to embrace a holistic and joyful concept, the abundance mindset. Having anchored ourselves in the creative power of the present moment, we are now poised to transform our relationship with one of the most charged and misunderstood concepts in our lives: wealth. For most of us, the word wealth immediately conjures images of money, luxury cars, sprawling mansions. We have been conditioned by our society to measure a person's richness by the size of their bank account. But this is a tragically narrow and impoverished definition of wealth. Imagine a person who has millions of dollars but whose body is riddled with illness, whose relationships are empty and transactional, who is starved for time and joy, and whose life is devoid of creative passion. Is this person truly wealthy, or are they simply experiencing poverty in every area of their life except one? It is time for us to tear down this old, limited definition and embrace a far more holistic, vibrant, and soul-satisfying concept: It is time to move from the mere pursuit of riches to the embodiment of true abundance. Abundance is not something you have. It is a state you inhabit. It is the deep, pervasive sense of sufficiency and overflow in all areas of your life. It is the wealth of vibrant health and boundless energy. It is the wealth of deep, loving, and supportive relationships. It is the wealth of time, the freedom to spend your precious moments on things that truly matter to you. It is the wealth of creativity, joy, and spiritual connection. Financial prosperity is a beautiful and important part of this picture. But it is just one color in a magnificent rainbow. The foundation of this holistic abundance is not in your bank account, but in your mind. It is the direct result of the lens through which you choose to view the world. And there are only two fundamental lenses available to us, the lens of scarcity and the lens of abundance. The scarcity mindset is the default programming for most of humanity. Its core belief is that the world is a small, finite pied. There's not enough to go around. It whispers, life is a zero-sum game. For me to get a bigger slice, someone else must get a smaller one. A person operating from scarcity lives in a state of perpetual fear and anxiety. They hoard their resources, their knowledge, and their affection, terrified of losing what little they have. They view the success of others as a personal threat, a sign that there is now less available for them. Their world is governed by competition, jealousy, and a constant, gnawing feeling of not enough. It is a stressful, contracted, and deeply unhappy way to live, regardless of how much money they may actually possess. The abundance mindset, on the other hand, is a conscious and liberating choice. Its core belief is that the world is not a tiny pie, but an infinite, self-replenishing ocean. There is more than enough love, joy, success, and wealth for every single person. And one person's success takes nothing away from anyone else's. In fact, it adds to the collective good. A person operating from abundance lives in a state of trust, gratitude, and generosity. They give freely of their time, their money, their praise, knowing that the source is infinite and that the act of giving creates the very flow they wish to receive. They celebrate the success of others, seeing it as proof of what is possible and as an inspiration for their own journey. Their world is governed by collaboration, joy, and a profound sense of peace. Imagine you are standing on the shore of a vast and magnificent ocean, holding a small bucket. You dip your bucket into the waves and pull it out, full of clear, sparkling water. Now, look back at the ocean. Did you deplete it? Did your taking of that one bucketful make the ocean any less vast? Any less powerful? Of course not. It is an absurd idea. The ocean's supply is, for all practical purposes, infinite. This is the perfect metaphor for the universe. The universe's supply of all good things is that infinite ocean. The scarcity mindset is the tragic and delusional belief that there is only one small bucket of water available for all of humanity to fight over. The abundance mindset is the enlightened wisdom of knowing that you are standing at the edge of an infinite sea, and that you, and everyone else, I can fill your bucket as many times as you wish, and the ocean will never run dry. Cultivating this abundance mindset is a practice. It requires consciously overriding the old programming of lack. One of the most powerful practices is to learn to genuinely celebrate the success of others. The next time you see someone who has achieved something you desire, notice the feeling that arises. If it is jealousy or envy, that is the scarcity mind at work. In that moment, consciously choose a different response. Say to yourself, or even out loud, that is wonderful for them. I am so happy for their success. Their achievement is proof that this is possible. And it is a wonderful signpost for my own journey. By doing this, if you transmute the low-frequency energy of envy into the high-frequency energy of inspiration, you are telling the universe that you live in a world of possibility. not a world of limitation. Another key practice is to become a conduit for flow through joyful giving. The universe is a dynamic system of giving and receiving. To keep the flow coming to you, you must be willing to let it flow through you. This doesn't just mean money. Give a genuine, heartfelt compliment to a stranger. Give your undivided, present moment attention to a loved one. Share your knowledge and expertise freely with someone who needs it. When you do give money, whether it's tipping a server or donating to a cause, do it with a feeling of joy and abundance, not a feeling of loss or obligation. This act of giving from a place of fullness affirms your own abundance and signals to the universe that you are a trustworthy conduit for even more to flow through. Even the simple act of paying your bills can be transformed from a scarcity-based chore into an abundance-based ritual. When you receive a bill, instead of feeling a pang of anxiety, hold it in your hands and feel gratitude. Be thankful for the service or product you received, the electricity that lit your home, the food that nourished you. Then, as you pay the bill, bless the money with love. See it flowing out into the world, helping countless other people, and affirm that it is now circulating back to you, multiplied. This transforms an act of perceived loss into a powerful affirmation of flow and trust. In his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill laid out many principles for success, while often interpreted as a manual for purely material gain. A deeper look reveals a more spiritual truth. The riches he speaks of are not just financial. The principles of having a definite purpose, using auto-suggestion to program the mind, and forming a mastermind alliance are all about cultivating a rich inner state, an unshakable faith, and an abundant consciousness. The money, he understood, is simply the natural, physical byproduct that must appear once this inner state of richness has been achieved. You do not think about riches to become wealthy. You must think from a state of inner richness and abundance, and then the outer riches cannot help but follow. As we begin to truly embody this abundance mindset, a profound realization dawns. We see that wealth, like health, love, and joy, is not an external thing to be chased and acquired, but an internal state to be cultivated and lived. We stop looking for happiness in the things out there, believing that a certain amount of money or a particular achievement will finally make us happy in here. This leads us to invert the entire model of creation that we have been taught. We discover that we have had it backwards all along. We discover that happiness is not the effect of success, but is, in fact, its ultimate cause. We have arrived at a pivotal turning point in our understanding. A principle so fundamental that it inverts the entire model by which most of the world operates. It is a secret that, once truly grasped, will shift you from a state of passive hoping to one of active, powerful creating. We have been taught, from our very first breath, to live by a simple and deeply flawed formula for happiness. It is the great "I'll be happy when" trap. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be happy when I find my soulmate. I'll be happy when the kids are grown. I'll be happy when I finally retire. This model makes our internal state of joy utterly dependent on external circumstances. It chains our peace to outcomes that are often beyond our control, condemning us to a life of perpetual waiting, forever chasing a horizon that recedes as we approach it. This is the model of have, do, be. First, I must have the thing, the money, the job, the relationship. Then, I can do the things I want: travel, relax, be creative, and only then, after all, the external pieces are perfectly in place, will I allow myself to be happy. This model is the primary reason why so many people who seemingly have everything still feel a profound emptiness. They have followed the formula, only to discover that the prize they were seeking was never at the finish line. It is time to shatter this illusion. The true model of creation, the formula used by all great masters and conscious creators, is the exact opposite. It does not start with the external world. It starts with the internal world. It starts with a sovereign choice. The true model of power is be, do, have. Let's break this down. It begins with be. Before anything in your external world changes, you make a conscious decision about the state you choose to inhabit. Independent of your current bank balance, you decide, I choose to be prosperous. Independent of your current relationship status, you declare, I choose to be loving and loved. Independent of the day's challenges, you commit, I choose to be happy and at peace. This is not about pretending or being delusional. It is an act of supreme creative power. You are generating the feeling state of your desire first, as a cause, rather than waiting for it as an effect. From this chosen state of being, you will naturally be inspired to do. Your actions will become the effortless overflow of your inner state. If you are being prosperous, you will naturally do things that prosperous people do. You might invest your money with confidence instead of hoarding it with fear. You might treat a friend to lunch with a feeling of generosity. Your actions are no longer a desperate struggle to get something, but a joyful expression of what you already are. If you are being happy, you will smile at strangers. You will laugh more freely. You will engage in your hobbies with passion. The doing is no longer a chore, but a celebration of your chosen state. And finally, as a natural and inevitable consequence of embodying this state and taking these aligned actions, you will begin to have the universe, which is a perfect mirror to your dominant vibration. They will begin to reflect your inner state back to you in the form of physical reality. By being prosperous, you will have more money and opportunities flow to you. By being love, you will have loving people and relationships appear in your life. You attract not what you want, but what you are. The have is not the cause of your happiness, it is the evidence of it. If you require proof of this principle, look no further than the profound and harrowing testimony of Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who endured the unimaginable horrors of the Nazi concentration camps. In his book, Men's Search for Meaning, Frankl describes a reality where, by all conventional logic, happiness, peace, or meaning should have been impossible. The external have was a living hell's starvation, disease, slave labor, and the constant, imminent threat of death. According to the have, do, be model, the only possible state of being was despair. Yet, in the midst of this unimaginable suffering, Frankl made one of the most important discoveries in human history. He realized that while his captors could control every aspect of his external environment, there was one thing they could never touch: the last of the human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's own attitude in any given set of circumstances. Even as others around him succumbed to hopelessness, Frankl practiced the be, do, have model in its most extreme form. He chose to be a man of purpose. He chose to find meaning in his suffering. In his mind, he would do the work of comforting other prisoners, of imagining himself in the future, lecturing to students about the psychology of survival that he was currently learning. He chose to feel love when thinking of his wife. He found his inner freedom even within the outer prison. And as a result, he had something that many of his healthier, stronger counterparts did not: a reason to live, a spiritual resilience that allowed him to survive. His story is the ultimate testament that our state of being is not an effect of our circumstances, but a power that can allow us to transcend them. Therefore, happiness is not a prize to be won. It is a decision to be made, and a discipline to be practiced. It is a muscle, and the more you work it, the stronger it becomes. You must stop putting your joy on layaway for some future date and decide to access it right now. You can start by strengthening your happiness muscle with simple daily practices. Practice the art of savoring. When you drink your morning coffee, don't just mindlessly consume it. Be fully present with it. Inhale its rich aroma. Feel the warmth of the mug in your hands. Truly taste the complex flavors. For those 2 minutes, Let that be your entire universe. Practice joy hunting. Make it a game to consciously look for small moments of beauty, kindness, and humor as you go about your day. Notice the intricate pattern of a leaf. Truly listen to your favorite song. Appreciate the warmth of the sun on your skin. Allow yourself to have a deep belly laugh. These are not trivial things. Each time you consciously focus on a moment of pleasure, you are choosing your be state. You are strengthening the neural pathways of joy and teaching your entire system that happiness is available to you right now, without any external conditions needing to change. This brings us to the ultimate secret of the law of attraction. It is not, and has never been, about attracting what you want. It is, and has always been, about attracting what you are. If you are a being who is vibrating with frustration, lack, and impatience, the universe will dutifully mirror back to you more circumstances to feel frustrated, lacking, and impatient about. If you make the courageous inner shift to be a person who is vibrating with joy, gratitude, and peace first, the universe will have no choice but to rearrange itself to bring you more experiences that match that beautiful state. The creative work is not in manipulating the reflection you see in the mirror. The creative work is in changing the person who is standing in front of the mirror. As we master this final, crucial principle, the understanding that our state of being is the cause, not the effect, we have effectively gathered all the tools and all the wisdom needed to consciously create our lives. We have journeyed from understanding the blueprint of reality to learning the language of the universe, from clearing our inner obstacles to aligning with our deepest purpose. Now, the final question remains: how do we integrate all of this? How do we move from simply knowing these concepts to truly living them, weaving them into the very fabric of our daily existence, so that creation becomes as natural as breathing? This is the final step, becoming the master creator. We have now reached the final leg of our shared exploration, the culmination of our journey through the inner landscapes of the mind and the outer workings of the cosmos. We have gathered the maps. We have polished the tools. We have studied the universal laws. But all the knowledge in the world, no matter how profound, is ultimately useless if it remains purely as intellectual information. Knowing the chemical composition of water will not quench your thirst. Reading 1,000 books about love will not mend a broken heart. The final, and most essential, step in this entire process is the great leap from knowing to being. It is the act of embodiment, of taking these principles from the abstract realm of the mind and weaving them so deeply into the fabric of your daily existence that they become your second nature. This is the sacred transition from being a student of these laws to becoming a living master creator. To understand this process of embodiment, think about learning to drive a car. In the beginning, the experience is overwhelming. Your conscious mind is on high alert, frantically trying to manage a dozen different variables at once. You have to consciously think, okay, check the mirror. Now press the brake. Shift the gear. Now ease my foot onto the accelerator. Not too hard. Watch that car on the left. Every action is deliberate, clunky, and requires intense concentration. This is what it's like when you first begin this work. You have to consciously remember to reframe a negative thought, to practice gratitude, to visualize your goals. It feels effortful because it is not yet your natural state. With consistent practice, however, something begins to shift. You no longer have to think about every single action of driving. The processes become linked, smoother. You develop a feel for the car, a kind of muscle memory. And eventually, you reach the state of mastery. An experienced driver gets into the car and simply drives. They can navigate complex traffic, hold an engaging conversation, and listen to an audiobook, all while the intricate mechanics of driving are handled flawlessly and automatically by their subconscious mind. They have so thoroughly practiced the skill that it has become an embodied part of who they are. This is our ultimate goal. A master creator does not have to try to be positive. They have so consistently cultivated joy that it has become their emotional home base. They do not have to hunt for synchronicities. Their awareness has become so finely tuned that they see the universe's dialogue everywhere. They have practiced these principles with such dedication that they have moved from conscious effort to subconscious. Graceful execution. Let us look back for a moment at the curriculum we have undertaken on this path to mastery. We began our journey as the architect, learning that our beliefs are the invisible blueprint for a reality that is not solid, but is a malleable field of potential. We then became the programmer, venturing into the engine room of our minds to understand the immense power of the subconscious gatekeeper. From there, we learned to speak the very language of the universe, becoming both a visionary who paints reality with the rich colors of visualization and emotion, and a poet who rewrites the inner script with the supreme power of affirmations and the I Am declaration. Our journey then led us into the shadows, where we became the healer, bravely identifying and uprooting our own limiting beliefs and learning the crucial art of protecting our energetic field. We became the alchemist, discovering how to transmute the lead of apparent disaster into the gold of opportunity. And we learned the liberating power of letting go of the past. We evolved into the dancer, trading the brutish force of struggle for the graceful wisdom of flowing with the universal current. We sharpened our senses and became the detective, decoding the winks and whispers of synchronicity and learning to trust the gentle nudges of inspired action. We ascended further, becoming the lighthouse, shifting our focus from merely getting things to aligning with our soul's true purpose. And in our final lessons, we became the lover and the sage, embracing the non-negotiable foundation of self-love and discovering that all of our creative power is only ever accessible in the eternal present moment of now. This is the curriculum of a master, and like any mastery, it is achieved through consistent, dedicated practice. It requires a commitment to a daily ritual, a sacred appointment with yourself to reinforce these new ways of being until they become your default state. This doesn't need to be an arduous, hours-long process. Even 15 focused minutes each morning can revolutionize your life. You can begin with a few moments of silence, simply sitting and observing your breath, detaching from the frantic chatter of the mind and anchoring yourself in the present. From this place of stillness, you move into gratitude, flooding your entire being with the high frequency of appreciation by feeling thankful for at least 3 things in your life. With your vibration elevated, you then move into creation, spending a few minutes vividly visualizing your goals as already accomplished and repeating your most powerful I am statements with deep feeling and conviction. Finally, you conclude by intention, consciously choosing your dominant be state for the day ahead. Today, I choose to be a vessel for peace. Today, I choose to see the good in everyone. Today, I choose joy. Consistency in this simple practice is far more powerful than sporadic, intense effort. It is crucial to understand what being a master creator truly means. It does not mean you will achieve a state of blank-faced perfection, where you never again have a negative thought or face a difficult challenge. It does not mean you will live in a bubble, immune to the ups and downs of human life. A master is not someone who has learned to avoid the storms of life. A master is someone who has become such an expert sailor that they no longer fear the storms. They have so much trust in their own ability to navigate that they see the rough seas as an opportunity to demonstrate their skill. A master creator still feels fear, but they have learned to act from a place of courage anyway. They still encounter obstacles, but they have trained themselves to immediately look for the hidden opportunity. Their mastery is not measured by the absence of problems, but by the speed and grace with which they return to a state of peace, trust, and creative power after being knocked off center. By committing to this daily practice, by weaving these threads of wisdom into the tapestry of our everyday lives, we complete the great shift from student to master, from victim to creator. Our journey of discovery through these 20 distinct landscapes of the mind and spirit has now reached its destination. We have explored the deepest valleys of our beliefs and climbed to the highest peaks of our potential. Now, let us take a moment to stand upon this summit, to look back at the path we have traveled, and to distill the entire journey down to its most essential, life-altering truth. We have reached the summit of our journey together. From this high vantage point, we can look back at the winding path we have traveled. From the foothills of uncertainty to the peaks of profound self-awareness, we began this exploration as passengers, believing ourselves to be at the mercy of the unpredictable currents of life. We end it now as architects, standing before the majestic truth that we hold the blueprint, the tools, and the power to shape our own reality. We have journeyed through the vast, subconscious engine room of our minds, learning the primal language of the universe, the language of imagery and emotion. We have reclaimed the creative power of our words and our focus. We have found the courage to venture into the shadows, to face the limiting beliefs that held us captive, and to cut the heavy anchors of past resentment and regret. We have learned to trade the exhausting struggle of forcing for the graceful dance of flowing, to read the synchronicities as love notes from the cosmos, and to follow the joyful whispers of inspired action. We have shifted our aim from merely acquiring things to aligning with our soul's purpose, discovering that our greatest gift to the world is the embodiment of our own unique light. We have learned that the foundation of our entire existence is the non-negotiable practice of self-love, and that all of our power is condensed into the single, eternal point of the present moment. If there is one essential truth to carry with you from this entire journey, let it be this: the ultimate goal of this work is not to control the world, but to master yourself. The power of mind over matter is not about bending reality to your ego's will, but about aligning your inner state so profoundly with peace, love, and abundance that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Happiness is not a destination you arrive at once. You have the perfect life. It is the state of being you must inhabit to create it. Prosperity is not an amount of money to be accumulated. It is a mindset of sufficiency to be cultivated. Peace is not the absence of storms in the world. It is the unshakable calm you discover at the center of your own being. A calm that can hold steady, no matter how fiercely the winds may blow. You have everything you need. That has been the secret all along. This journey was not about adding anything to you that you did not already possess. It was simply about awakening you to the magnificent creative power that has been dormant within you from the very beginning. The architect, the artist, the healer, the master, they are all you. The life you have been living has been a perfect reflection of your past beliefs and your past state of being. The life you will live from this moment forward will be a perfect reflection of the beliefs and the state of being you consciously choose right now. For the universe is not giving you what you want. It is giving you who you are. The journey begins now, with your very next thought, your very next feeling, your very next choice. Choose wisely and create beautifully.